Oh, rickety. Right, let's get down to it, baby. Final day for EMEA. Groups B versus C. Hope y'all are excited. I know I'm excited. Finally have our going live screen for ALGS so we can switch on over, baby. Chat, how's everyone feeling? How's everyone doing? What's the good word? Groups B versus C today. Thing to keep in mind all day is top 8. Top 8. We talk about for who qualifies for LAN. Feels like it's probably going to be a secured up where it's at unless NIP absolutely pops off. What's up, Gutsy? How you doing, homie? Unless, of course, Danish has like an off day and NIP is 7 places better than them. Or the other thing would be if like NIP wins the day. But also there's kind of been a theme of a lot of teams that qualified for LAN previously. And split number 1, not making it for split 2. Some big names that we're used to seeing at LAN pretty consistently. I thought I had taken myself offline on Steam. Oh, you know what? I did earlier for APAC and then I restarted my PC. So let's go ahead and turn that off right here. Yeah, see? Yeah. All right. Yeah. All right, I think I'm all set up. I do think. We're just going to hang out and watch the main broadcast as we've been doing here recently. Not going to be doing the multi-view. My PC just can't keep up with the multi-view right now, chat. We'll have to figure out a way to get that bad boy upgraded. Yeah. Okay. Yo, I appreciate you, fam. How have you been? What you been up to? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Oh, I was doing something. I was meant to try and get my pop out for my YouTubes. So I can plug that into my docs. The Dickety Docs. So I got both chats in there. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, right. I need to.
Which means one thing, there is one day left to punch your ticket to our regional
right,
finals.
chat, let's get down to it.
It is time to perform. If you're sitting pretty, well, maybe you're already thinking about joining us in Mannheim, Germany, but all the teams in the middle have to show up today. So if you're looking for competitive Apex Legends, then look.
My boy Rain Day, chat, let's go.
I cannot wait to be along the ride with you as well. Apex South finished their regional. We had a big day of EMEA and NA yesterday where Group A finished it off, and now it's time for B and C to clash. My name is Rain Day. I'll be your host all day long, locking in with two of my favorites back for our cast to set things up for our match point finals. And first off, Onset, welcome back. Congratulations on England going into the next round. I know it was scary, but now you can relax and have some fun with us today.
Yeah, two ways to look at it. Obviously, very excited that England went through. Unfortunately, have to be subjected to probably another 90 minutes of that style of football next time. Enough about the Euros, more about the ALGS, because you're quite right. It is the final regular season match day today before we know what 20 teams are going to be going through to our regional finals. And then, of course, we find out after that who's going to be going to that LAN. It's going to be a very exciting day, but also a little bit of a tough one for us, because for the first time this season, we get to send some teams home and say, hey, that's the end of your split.
And that's the real thing. Sometimes there is tension here developed because you might have saved a lot of work to be done in one day. Somebody who had the day off yesterday and very well deserved because it was his birthday this weekend, hanging out. He's back with us to perform. Dan,
I think I should still be good where you guys can hear it, but I still should sit on top of it.
A little bit older
when I talk.
Bones are a little bit creakier, but I'm still ready to cast some Apex. That's what's good, is that my vocal cords still work. I can still shout and yell about the things that I love, and I'm very excited to be here today because, as Mark alluded to, we have to send teams home. Now, I'm not excited about sending teams home, but that means people will be fighting for their spot and arguably taking more risks and playing some better Apex.
Speaking of better Apex, it's hard to really look at today as outclassing some of the things we saw yesterday. It was phenomenal from a lot of teams. You could feel the tension because Group A
Gutsy, how was your holiday, homie?
So they knew they had to perform. Let's walk you through a little bit of match day 8 so those catching up on the broadcast today know what occurred. First off, it would really be Trojan's day. I kind of made a joke about no need for the Trojan horse. There was nothing secret that allowed them to get the win. They played solid Apex Legends and even took game 1. It really set them up for some good performances later on. However, you would see Apex Warlords come in against a fight with Go Next to take game 2. They would look good overall in the day, but a team that still has so much to do and probably is looking on the outside end when it comes to LAN. You would see, of course, DMS take a win, and then on World's Edge, we'd switch things up with a moment we'd been waiting for. Matafe, kinda, will not spin Seer have what it takes to get back to those old ways. Seer people shouting in Mannheim for their success. They feel that way, and they would take another big win.
Are they not?
Alongside ExoClan, who would take one as
well.
Yeah,
Navi should be fine.
Been the theme of Exo overall in this last little run in EMEA. They get one big game, and that's put them into 6th place overall yesterday.
I mean, you would basically need everyone who needs a big day behind you.
As you see the overall standings in front of you. Coming up after this, that's where ExoClan will sit. Well, obviously, Trojan win the day.
Alliance probably take the top seed in EMEA unless they fumble here.
Win we saw also secured them enough points to move into 4th. And so these teams in that top 4, most of them are from Group A as of now. But big shouts, big notice to Alliance, who are playing today. Passion UA, Danish, NIP, ExoClan still with ways to move forward, Mark. And that's the thing. If you're in Group 6, you're just watching. If you played 6 already, you're just waiting and watching, hoping somebody from B and C doesn't pass you up.
Yeah, the official term is, of course, preying on the downfall of others. And we'll have to see if there's definitely going to be some teams and some players doing that today who aren't playing today. But for the teams playing today, things to keep in mind, right? We mentioned 8 qualification spots here in EMEA. That means the top 8 after the regional finals are done are going to be the teams who go to LAN, who go to the Split 2 playoffs in Germany and will get a chance to compete and represent the EMEA region. However, to get there, to get to the regional finals, you have to be inside of the top 20 at the end of play today. So when we're looking at this next page, players of the team who are holding on with that last qualification spot to the regional finals at the moment.
I guess we really
these
should be
teams
looking
that
at
are
more like
chasing
bottom
back,
20,
they're the
huh?
ones who
Or
need to
bottom,
give themselves
yeah,
an
bottom
opportunity
20,
to
so
qualify
30 to
with that
10.
match point format that comes up in regional finals. You look at ANC outplayed, 9 Lives, Full English. It's so tight, I would say, all the way down here. Passion, of course, disbanded, won't be playing today, but it is an opportunity still. If you can win the game day today, if you can put a huge amount of points on the board, you might be able to force yourself into regional finals, and then you might be able to pull off the miracle or match point and maybe send yourself to LAN as well.
I love that you brought up ANC outplayed, because they're 6 points sitting out of qualification right now, but that means they've got to get at least 14th today. And little moments we've seen in these final games, sometimes
at least
you go out on
14th
an early
is
contest
kinda
in game
weird.
5 or game 6, and you're locked into 15th, and that's that. So people have to be on their toes, especially when
So
it
I don't
comes
think
to
that's
the
exactly
stakes
how it works for them.
raised today. And let's zero in on what we can look at for what the stakes are, specifically with what teams.
Oh, I guess he's talking
in
about
B and
in the
C will
top
be
20.
going head to head.
No,
Big
but that's
names
still
like
not
I
right, 'cause
mentioned,
everyone in front of
Alliance
them
as well. 9
up
Lives
until the
Esports,
third
ANC
all
outplayed
plays today.
Players on
So they're
the
also gonna be
cusp
moving their needle.
of making it, need big performances. Passion UA, Tron, Max Strafey, Sonya, they've been playing very, very well. Can they keep it up? And of course, a lot of other big names to talk about. We spoke with Young Hong Kong from Danish yesterday. He's going to have a chance to keep it up. Dan, overall, though, it's really anybody's game. And you're looking at numbers, most importantly, of what you have to do coming into this to be successful.
Yeah, the magic numbers we're looking at to advance to regional finals is 52. You can already see 16 teams have already achieved that. So we have, 14 teams left, all competing for 4 spots to get to regional finals. And then if you want to advance to split 2 playoffs, then we're looking at around 84.7, 85 points to be able to qualify for playoffs as well. Now, first and foremost, you just want to get to regional finals so you can give yourself that chance to get to the playoffs. But there are some teams, of course, Alliance and FaZe already secured that playoff spot. And now they can run rampant here in a lobby. Alliance can really take away some of those points that some of those chasing teams are looking for.
And it's a cool thing to look at Alliance. We'll touch on them a little bit later before we get into game, but just the way that now with the freedom of knowing we can relax a little bit, maybe we see some interesting things. Maybe we see some practice with Alter or some other elements that they want to prepare for LAN. But most importantly, LAN, it's important when you get there. Many teams start the season off, and this team, particularly on set, didn't have a good start. But they took somebody and added him to the roster that actually had won a LAN before, and now things have changed. Just scintillating into the season potentially for Blacklist.
Yeah, I think it's a very apt saying. Sometimes we say it's not how you start the season, it's how you finish it. And how many teams have we talked about throughout all of the splits that we've had in the ALGS who put in a big performance in the last couple of days that really gives them an opportunity. And speaking of last couple of days, speaking of big performances, they've had an amazing last 2 game days. They've had a 3rd place and a 2nd place, which has put them in contention to maybe make the regional finals. And of course, looking like they will make the regional finals, but maybe with a good game day today, push themselves towards those automatic qualification spots as well. Now, it's been a lot of it down to the addition of JMW. Of course, a LAN winner in his own right. Before he joined, the points they put on the board, game day 1, 5, game day 2, 0. Then it was 10, and then he joins and they go 18 points and 21 points. So a huge amount of points being added since the addition of JMW. And match day 6 was an amazing one for them. They got a 3rd, and a 2nd place. But we were asking, right, hard zone team. They've been playing some really, really strong zones, trying to get there early, playing that traditional style. Were they able to convert 3rds into wins? Well, match day 7 proved that they can do that as well, because they managed to pick up 2 wins, 1 on Storm Point and 1 on World's Edge as well, showing that they're not just dependent on one map, that they can get it done on both. Now, this is the previous match day I was talking about, where they got those 2 third places and that 2nd. Also 2 top 10 finishes as well, which is a very, very solid points turnout for them. And then as we move into the previous match day that I was talking about, there are those 2 first places with that monster game right in match number 6. 14 kills to go alongside that first place game.
When did I lose my
26
mic?
points, which put them into 2nd place. So
Well, that
Blacklist
was awkward.
International, they're kind of coming back to form and finding form really when it does matter right at the end of this split.
Well, a team unlike Blacklist, who might be showing up at the right time for them, is a team that's still a little bit on that bubble. And I'm talking about NIP. They started the season out so well, and a lot of hype about getting Zane in there. But Dan, have the results been what they expected finishing off this season? And do they need to feel a little bit wary knowing they're sitting currently outside of a LAN spot?
Yeah, they have to be one of our teams to watch, and they definitely will be wary because they are one of the qualification possible teams for playoffs because they are around that top 8 position. But we want to talk today about where they're playing from because they're going to continue to play from sites
Ninjas
they
in
played there
pajamas.
yesterday on World's
Yo,
Edge.
I'm pulling for my boy Nasty so bad, bro.
Well for them yesterday. This first game,
Nasty not on land would be
they finished in 20th
heartbreaking
position. Maybe not what they would expect, not what we would expect with the standards that they set themselves. Sadly, dying in an early engagement. It was a difficult rotation if you look at where that circle was going to be ending up in general. And if they didn't get the information they would have wanted, it's difficult to choose which kind of choke point you're going to go through. But in the end, trying to transition from east to west is never a fun one through Fragment. Now, as they looked into the next game, it was yet again another fight in a zone which wasn't a priority to them. They had to fight from the east to the west after approaching from the north. But I'm wondering whether they're just not feeling comfortable on this composition. You've got Pathfinder, you've got Seer. It is different with the meta shift. And we're used to seeing NIP absolutely whoop some ass in some of these fights. It is not happening at the moment. And sadly for them, they fell again early in match 5. Now in match 6, Nasky, he was left alone in an early engagement after 2 of his teammates had gone down. They had tried to get aggressive, they tried to look to try and take a fight, and you can see Nasky here had to go for the fight or flight method.
On
in the
path
end, it was flight.
Pick. I'm not gonna lie.
To try and find
I think I like it.
his teammates to get them back up, and he was able to get Zayn back on his feet, who did heroic efforts to make sure he got 4 kills and got them into the top 10, and those points could prove to be absolutely vital. And my question is, you know, what will today bring? Will we see the same kind of thing? Will we see differences change for this squad who have to try and really push themselves back into that top 8? Because when we look at regional finals and we look at the teams going into regional finals, you want to be ahead of the rest of the competition. You don't want to find yourself struggling and being behind everyone. You want to instead be the leaders of that race. So really impressed with what we've seen so far from NIP throughout the season, but there definitely seems to be some struggles in certain areas.
And there's certainly a team that needs that motivation, needs that energy. Somehow they feed off it. They feed off the crowd at LAN when they're there. They feed off these early contests when they go their way. And Nasky himself said, I need people to doubt me today in a Twitter or an X or whatever, a post that happened just a few moments before broadcast so that he can pop off. I think there are certain players that, yes, they need the spotlight to perform, but sometimes they need a little bit of, adversity to really bring the best out of themselves. Some people do well in adversity situations. So I'm excited to see what NIP can bring and see if they can set up for regional finals being a lot easier than they've made it right now. However, EMEA has had this problem with looking towards LAN and maybe seeing like we might have an EMEA winner. Aurora was the team most recently that we thought could overall take the split 2 playoffs. But maybe with this new change of Aurora losing Hardeki, they have lost that spot. And there's a new team that can crown themselves the king of Europe. And Alliance certainly have their sights on that title.
That is a big performance from Alliance.
Easy victory for Alliance.
Alliance take game number 1.
The chance for us winning Pro League is pretty high because we have like 1 match day in hand. If we win, we're gonna have a huge lead.
We're in the lead in general, so that just goes to show how far ahead we are as a team. We've just been trying things out, like we've been practicing Alter, we've been practicing Pathfinder.
Pathfinder is going to allow them to move. Oh, this is why you play Path. My boy is back.
We've just been experimenting and basically scrimming in ALGS.
A chance for Effect to do his damage, but Hockey's as the IGL takes it upon himself.
Hakis as well, really good IGL.
I'm just listening to him and he just does all of it.
He helps a lot being disciplined, having proper schedules. Just keeps us in shape.
Because his playstyle is very aggressive and very confident, which I like myself. I like to kill people, I like to push people.
Alliance coming over the top here, and with that they take first place.
But I'm pretty confident we're gonna win this Pro League.
One of the best teams in the EU.
I'm pretty happy with our performance. In our minds, LAN is all that matters, and what we do in Pro League is just preparations for that LAN.
Certainly a team that has done it better than anyone else, and sometimes in a way has done it longer. They've been a long-standing member of EMEA's royalty when it comes to high-level Apex Legends, and with the roster swaps, losing Yuki earlier on, joining them is unlucky, and Effect and Hockeys have found this rhythm that so far is putting them in contention for a first place yet again. Will that mean that things will change at LAN? Well, certainly Onset, they're hoping so, as they consider this pro league from Hockeys himself kind of like just the practice ground for getting ready for LAN, which they're looking to hoist up one day.
You like the
100%. I mean, Alliance have been one of the staple teams of EMEA for quite some time.
Yeah.
Unlucky. I think that he's a great player for them. I think he's a really good anchor for them as well. And I think Alliance are looking very good. And one thing that they're going to want to do, of course, is come first place, because they still have to put some points on the board today. They still have to make sure that they get the job done. And even though it's looking like they will be champs at the end of today, going into regional finals, holding that top spot, they need to keep the pressure up. They need to keep the energy up and go into regional finals with that same kind of vibe.
And it's not just being the king of the region, it's about being the king of the world, especially when we start looking towards Mannheim. So Alliance certainly will be pushing the envelope if they can. For those who are curious about Alliance's journey, though, or maybe NIP, maybe it's Blacklist Internationals, JMW really made that big difference. Can you see it live? Well, here's a chance to do so by checking out Face It Watch. By doing this, not only can you watch live streams of the ALGS, you can check out VODs and see multiple POVs to get you more intel on the action. Like a commentator, if you're prepping for commentating, maybe you're doing a watch party, or maybe you're just sitting at the comfort of your desk watching this on a nice Sunday evening, morning, or afternoon.
I gotta figure that out, by the way.
You want to see every rotation, every shot call, or maybe you just want the map feed to see what we see behind the scenes. Well, Face It Watch has got you covered. Control it your way.
I know you can go back and watch POVs afterwards.
We are back at it. One last hello before we jump into this game day. It's match day 9. Onset and Gaskin. You know what it means. Stakes are high. Teams will be flying and trying to get themselves as high as possible up this leaderboard. Who will do it, though? That's the question I'm going to leave you two to answer as we get ready to jump into game 1.
Well, here we go then, everybody. Thank you so much, Evan. Always a pleasure to have you at the top of the show. And Dan, now it's time for us to start getting into the action a little bit. And we are set up at the point of the season where we're the unfortunate ones who will have to kind of talk through some of these teams who won't make it to regional finals and will have their split come to an end.
Yeah, and it's, as I mentioned at the top of the show, there's only 4 spots available now for regional finals. So it is going to be fighting your very hardest to try and get into one of those 4 spots. And it can be ripped away from you at any moment as well. If you have one bad game, suddenly someone's going to leapfrog you as well. Consistency is going to be key here. But one big game can change everything. We have seen that throughout ALGS history. If you can get that first place, if you can get a crazy amount of kills, the likelihood is you're going to be up there in that conversation for getting into regional finals.
Well, we start today on Storm Point. 3 maps on Storm Point before we go over to World's Edge for the back 3. So we'll have to see if this plays into things a little bit today. But more importantly than where we're starting down, we've got to look at the POI draft, right? How we start off here on Storm Point. We know what some of the big picks
I always
are going
feel
to
like
be,
there's something more we can do with the draft portion of the show. And I don't know how.
Yeah, Mill and Lightning Rod coming in early as expected. NIP playing out of Cenote. We've seen that happen already this season, and they had a good amount of success from that POI, so I'm expecting them to be able to get some points on the board from Storm Point. Down Beast for Dan, and then we've got Passion UA down at Sito Station. Now remember, Passion UA are just above that chasing pack. When we talk about playoff spots, they're in 7th position at the moment, so they can really spread themselves out and spread themselves away from the rest of those teams that are chasing them with a good performance here today.
Yeah, there's a lot to keep an eye on here as we go through the draft, isn't it? Because we're obviously talking about regional finals, making it there, but there's still points on the line for those teams who are trying to get into those qualification spots, and I think you're quite right. Passion UA, one of those teams who hold one at the moment, will be desperate for a very good day, and they've got a pretty good POI to play from as well. Alliance, who we mentioned as well, they're going to be dropping over at Trident, but they will have North Pad to themselves as well. So they've got all of the northern side as they have had previously. You can see Exo Clan down on Devastated Coast. Not the greatest of POIs for them. And they're a team who are, again, on the cusp, kind of outside looking into the automatic qualification spots at the moment.
Exo is another one that needs to play.
Need to put some points
of the teams that can perform it or that can clinch in a day.
Yeah, Exo are 16
Exo's
points
like
behind
the farthest
Passion UA
behind,
at the moment, for example. So that is a considerable gap, considering that Passion UA were able to put 16 points on the board
keep talking about
during their first ever week. Though
I guess
it does show that it is certainly achievable for some of of these teams who are trying to chase. So it's not like it's out of the realms of possibility. There are certain
They are
teams
talking
today
about
who really do have to win the entire match day if they want to get to regional finals, or if they want to even be in the conversation for the chances of
but
getting
remember,
to
even
playoffs
regional
just via
final
points and
count
not by
towards
winning the
land.
regional
So if you're a
finals as
team
well.
like
So we're gonna have to
NIP,
keep a
you
keen
don't
eye on
necessarily need
which
to
teams
get
are really putting their best
all
foot
of them
forward. Who's
today.
going to roll the dice? Who's going to change something and maybe go for broke here?
You need to
Because
get
we have
at
seen
least
so
a
many
decent
times
amount.
teams just
You know what I
play
mean?
the same way, play slow. Oh, we could probably get to the final circle, but we don't often see teams try something different, try something new to really give themselves the best chance of qualifying. And sometimes you have to. If you are
Chat,
one of those
can I
teams
get a
that
quick,
down in the bottom five, you might
sound
have
check?
to find something that's different. You can't just
Am
play
I
the
at a
same
good
way.
level
It's going
over
to be an interesting day for sure, and I think one
like
thing that's going to be difficult for a
the
few
game
teams
behind
today,
me,
if
or
they
do I need to
wanna
turn the
try
game
and
down a
play
little
that
bit?
aggressive play style that you're talking about and look for some KP on their way into zone and kind of fight their way, knowing they need to get points to essentially have some sort of success today when it comes to qualifying for regional finals or maybe holding down one of those spots. Is the current meta that we have with Seer in the meta, it just feels like it kind of stalls fights out a little bit longer than it had previously. Once that exhibit goes down, it's so difficult to get the ability to close that gap quickly, to get that first knock, and that's why you're seeing sometimes games look a little bit scrappier than they were before. So maybe that aggressive playstyle is going to be a difficult one to execute today, but if you can find a way to do it, it could be a route to success as well. Well, here we go then, the last game day of the regular season before we head into the regional
chat.
finals. It's Stormpoint
Y'all
to start
ready?
with today, Dan. And I got to say, happy birthday, by the way, for yesterday.
Thank you, I really appreciate it. We're going to start off with NIP, and I did kick off NIP earlier with a little segment, and I just want to give a shout out to Apex Legends Status and Hugo for the inspiration that they give for all the data that we use for segments like that. And, you know, it's going to be important today that NIP put some points on the board on Stormpoint here because they did struggle on World's Edge. But Nasky tweeted out himself saying he wants people to doubt him. He wants people to underestimate him. It fuels him. It gives him that energy. How many times have we seen Nasky have a bad match week and then go into the next and win the entire thing?
though.
So I think the NIP are going to be a different beast here today.
Yeah, they're going to be locked in, which is going to be something I'll be saying a lot today because teams do need to be locked in. No mistakes really allowed to happen at this point in the season as we move our attention away from the southern side of the map and Sonote towards Northpad and Trident, which is where Alliance are going to be gathering all of their loot at the moment. And their job today is not just to play well, obviously, and put points on the board, but they want to win the Pro League. They want to be the champions of EMEA going into the LAN event. So a lot of work for them to do, of course, here to kind of solidify their spot at the top of the table and maybe create a little bit of a gap as well going into regional finals.
And how about that for a circle for NIP for their first game on Stormpoint? It is going southwest, but are they going to know about it? I don't know if they've got a ring console. And remember, we saw this a couple of weeks ago in Pro League where NIP dropped Sonote, the zone started to pull towards them, and then they got beaten to the pulp. There was already teams in their position and they were caught off guard. So they are going to have to maybe look to the skies here and be well aware of
here
the
when
teams
I'm
that
standing,
arrive.
bro. It's like right
It's
there on my
interesting, right?
legs.
Because I'm just looking down at the bottom left at the moment. Look what ANC Outplayed are doing. There's one isolated member of NIP once again. And we had this before, like you mentioned, when Nasky was the player who got taken out. Well, it looks like they have managed to just about retreat and get back to Sonote in the safety of it. So at least they're going to know that some teams are heading their way, which probably gives them an indication of where they want to play. But there's about 3 or 4 teams already inside of the zone, and NIP are a little bit split at the moment.
Yeah, NIP are all over the place, and it is almost a direct replica of what we saw before.
No ring console again.
Yeah, no ring console, nothing to work with, and sadly, they will see everyone arriving, so at least they are going to be able to work with that. Now, you can see the pick rates of all the legends at the top of your screen as well. We have one Caustic in the lobby, so we'll see whether the Stinky Boy can make an effect in that final circle. But we are starting to see a few differences here and there. 9 Bloodhounds, for example. Everyone's still happy to play Bloodhound despite the changes. It's not
It's
like
interesting. We did not see that much Bloodhound.
A few Pathfinders as well, Catalyst, Fuse, Caustic.
No, I mean, definitely not
quite
that
a
much. But I'm trying to even think that was a map dependent this morning on APAC. I don't think it was.
Nine Lives Esports at the moment, they're one of those teams who are outside looking in to those regional finals qualification spots, and they are going to need a good day today. They're a team who kind of impressed a little bit in the last split as well, and I think a team who certainly has the ability to overtake some of the teams who are in front of them to secure that regional final spot. And I would say as well, maybe a little bit of a dark horse if it comes to regional final and match point, because they've shown if they get to end games, they have the ability to win them.
I think there are a few teams as well that have found victories throughout the season, but maybe aren't at the top of the leaderboards, and you're completely right. Match point is going to change everything. Now, this is what we were talking about, the southwest of the map. FA Kids and NIP currently having a scrap, and it's not just those two teams in the area. Naski's gone down. NIP have to be careful.
Oh, NIP are going to have to be careful indeed, and the question is, do they have the ability to get the res off at the moment? Are they going to be able to get Naski back to his feet, or is it going to be another Cenote-style zone where they're not going to be able to play it out as their POI? And really
That's risky for the reagent kids.
Disappointment. Well, the answer is yes by the looks of things, because Naski has been finished off.
Well,
Zidane is going to get that entry frag, and I mean, Zidane, we talked about what a game day he had just a few game days ago. He was leading the lobby in kills. He was so aggressive, and once again, he gets that opening damage, gets that opening kill, and NIP now, even though they have a good spot in zone, are going to have to
play
hold
it as a duo.
And FA Kids, who are 5 points behind NIP in the overall leaderboards at the moment. What a big fight.
Are they going to have a way to
not only give yourself the extra point
get the
in
banner?
today's match day,
Probably
but also
not, right?
restrict the amount of points that one of your direct competitors are able to achieve as well by just taking out one of their players and forcing them to play as a duo for the rest of this game. Maybe, unless of course they can get Naski back up. Now, we did see yesterday NIP get Zane back up, for example, when he went on to get top 10 and get 4 kills. So it's not like it's all doom and gloom yet for NIP, but it does seem to be like a direct replica of the other week when they were all spread out doing their looting, unaware of everyone joining them at Cenote, and then sadly falling because of it.
Yeah, it's an interesting one, right? Because you're talking about that res, you're talking about the ability to get a player back in the game, but the problem is with so many teams already in Cenote and so many buildings already, you know, with players and teams inside of them, even being able to get a mobile res down if you can find one and get it off is going to be very difficult to do. So NIP on the back foot straight away. Elsewhere,
everyone feeling comfortable that it's going to be a Cenote finish.
FA Kids, who we saw get their opening knock. Danish are there, Passion UA are there, ANC outplayed, are playing just outside of Cenote at the moment, and wrapping from the south side is going to be Vex. So a lot of teams already in the vicinity. Only 5 teams, excuse me, outside of the second zone at the moment, Dan. So I think you're starting to see the style of play that we can expect today. Everyone knows that points are at a premium.
Gotta make sure you're playing for your spot, baby.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's easier to say.
We saw the same thing this morning, right? I had mentioned a couple times, I was surprised at how many fights there were getting taken.
And it is a very harsh pull towards one of the areas of the map. Everyone's going to be banking on it being in Cenote or the surrounding areas. Of course, it can depend where you commit to and where that zone will shift. If it does go a little bit more west, it can pull away from some of those buildings. It can also end in some of the rock formations as well. So you have to have a good idea of your zone knowledge. You need to know which positions you are going to play, but sometimes you don't get to play the position you want to because you could be a little bit later. If you're NIP, for example, they didn't even get a chance to really choose their position because all the other spots had been taken.
Well, for now, not going to be too much action playing. Not too many teams going to be engaging on the edge of zone as well. I mean, the next fight you're probably looking at happening just on the edge of zone. Maybe Alliance and GG might have a little look at each other as the GG come through the spider cave at the moment.
Bro, 73 Esports is still all the way the fuck out there for what?
Are at the mill.
The Alliance.
The Alliance. It sounds very... I was going to say evil, but it could be a good alliance as well. So Alliance, anyway, are going to be having a little poke and maybe a little prod at GG, but they might be moving up onto Blacklist International instead, and it looks like they're trying to do that as well. They have to be careful not to get pinched here.
Elsewhere, you can see NIP as a 2 are being pressed by Vex. And sadly, Zane has gone down, so it looks like that will be NIP eliminated
Ninjas
first.
in Pajamas
Just
out in 19.
We saw on World's Edge last week, and they went down in that first game in last position. So now Vex, though, off the back of that, they're going to be pressed by Zidane and the rest of FA Kids, who will take full advantage of hearing this commotion.
Well, FA Kids looking to continue to look for KP where it does become available, but not overextending too much in a position where they will give up their building that they want to play. You can see they will be slightly outside of zone for now. Vex have been eliminated, like you say. Unlucky has gone down for Alliance as well. So on the northern side of zone, like we were talking about, that scuffle is still continuing, but I mean, for NIP, that's got to really hurt to be knocked out again with a Cenote zone dropping over there. You look back at those games and they probably look back the previous weeks and be like, we can't let that happen again. Well, it has happened again. As Blacklist International, the team that I was talking about before we got underway here, Dan, their last 2 game days have kind of saved their split.
They've really come from out of nowhere, like a phoenix rising from the ashes, to be honest, because it looked like it was going to be all doom and gloom. But with their recent performances, suddenly now they are a squad who is looking like a real threat to be competing, not just at regional finals, but even further than that, and potentially even playoffs. So In this game in
Playoffs.
particular, you can see they were kind of having some pop shots towards the
Playoffs?
remainder of Alliance, who were just wandering past them. Players are also nearby as well. At the moment, they have the high ground, and they've got the ability to work with this because of the Watson.
It's going to be interesting to see where the zone does shift as well. We are getting that information. It is going to be going just outside of Cenote towards the bridge.
I just hope we
ANC
can win a
outplayed.
game.
Look like they're in one of the best spots as well. So Blacklist International will be able to actually kind of work their way through zone, and some good shots onto the player in the sky as well. They might be able to finish off some KP as well, but that zone shift is something to really highlight here, Dan.
Yeah, what I was saying, when it could pull a little bit further west, which does really hurt those teams that committed to the Cenote buildings, as GG now committing to a fight. Jukes has gone down, and they have a 3-2 lead here. Actually, it's a 3 versus 1, in fact. They were able to get 2 players down, so sadly, their opposing team are going to have to retreat here, and Game Gladiators are going to be in the ascendancy, looking to try and pick up more KP.
Yeah, Futo's trying to just get away as the last remaining player here of players, and GG, who are in a very, very good spot in the overall standings at the moment, looking to qualify for LAN. They're looking to qualify for some more KP at the moment just by finding 50.
I think Game Gladiators are they keep saying, well, they keep saying 4 spots for regional finals, don't they?
Looks like the player has managed to get out and will be able to survive for a little bit longer. But GG have been one of the highlights, I think, this split. Really, really consistent across the game days.
Yeah, I think if GG finished just top 15 today in the overalls, they'll be going to playoffs. They'll be securing their spot based off of the projected amount of points that we were looking at the start of today. So it's certainly been a good start for them, winning their first engagement. And I just think that GG are a fantastic team to watch with how they actually play and how the chemistry has been working for them ever since they formed. Very impressed with what they've been able to achieve so far. And I'm really wondering, how far does that go, right? When they get to playoffs, are they going to be a team that can compete on the international stage? Because we've seen so much of EMEA having great success in their region, but then when it gets to the international stage, maybe struggling a little bit and not being able to keep up with other regions. So we'll have to see whether GG can maybe.
It's interesting because I feel like EMEA is all over the place
Rats
right
are in a
now,
good spot in zone right now. They do have the
like,
tribe,
yeah,
which
you
gives them
still
a little
have
more cover as
Alliance
well,
and
which is
FaZe
gonna
Clan sitting in the
protect one of
top.
their, essentially their backs from one of the LOSs. They're going to have to just replace it a little bit. You see, Mania has been tasked with wedging it in, full Austin Power style, to this little tunnel here. Managed to just complete that beautifully, and now their backs will be covered as well. You can see the top left on the map at the moment. What a good spot they do have. They're going to be able to maybe catch a lot of these teams actually who are going to be rotating out of zone towards from Cenote, excuse me, and pick up some good KP from this position as well. But when we're talking about zone and where we're talking about going, it is going to be ANC outplayed, like I mentioned previously, who have the best spot in zone at the moment. Rats are going to be just outside of it. GG have moved to the Broken Armory as well. They will be just about safe inside of the next zone as well in one of those corners, but they've got to plan their next move, and they've got to plan it quick.
Yeah, these were the kind of rock formations I was talking about, and I'm impressed that Outplayed have created so much space. All 3 of them are just pressuring anyone that arrives, anyone that's trying to fly in or even just walk in, and that is meaning that they create kind of an end game for themselves. They are making sure that everyone is going to have to fight each other on that eastern side, and at the moment they hold the entirety of the west. Their only worry is going to be Forbidden, if Forbidden arrive. But elsewhere you can see ults going down, people trying to get that one squad off the top. Remember, it was Blacklist International who had this height because of the Watson, but thankfully if you have a Watson and you've got a Gen, no ults are really going to take you down off of this height.
Yeah, you're quite right. It's going to be a very much more difficult task when you see those missiles getting eaten up by that generator. Blacklist International still holding that height. You can see Alliance are trying to pressure them at the moment. Alliance actually going to try and pressure the team which is going to be below them, and that's going to be 73 Esports who are below them at the moment. Alliance already up to full red Evos as well.
I mean, is anyone expecting anybody but Alliance to finish at the top
also
after
those
regionals?
Opportunities. They can take these fights knowing they can reset and knowing that they're probably not going to go down. 73 Esports will be eliminated, and Alliance get their first KP of the day.
I'm kind of surprised that they aren't higher up on overall points, if I can be honest.
At the moment. You can see
like, I know they had a roster change at one
two
point.
Squads right now, and very
they started off really rough. Was that the deal?
They're doing their darndest to survive as FA Kids, who have been a very big presence on this side
before
of the
the
map,
unlucky
still hold
pickup.
the southern side and still being a nuisance to these other squads.
EXO out in
They're trying
16.
to force their way into zone. FA Kids taking a little bit of damage. You can see Kainer's going to have to take a few seconds here just to pop a med kit, and Zidane has to pop a battery as well. So even though players have been eliminated just in front of them as well, they've got a lot more work to do here, FA Kids. There's about 5 teams still around them outside of zone that they'll have to go through. Alliance taking some damage themselves as well, although it looks like one player will be able to res, and that will be Unlucky coming back to his feet, but unfortunately, Effect has been finished. There's one more player on height, and Hackers is going to challenge. He's going to say, I want you to face Bloodhound versus Path, and Path will take the win.
That's one of the benefits of playing a Pathfinder, right? Just being able to engage in that manner. And Blacklist International will go down. So Alliance going to have to play the remainder as a 2.
They got a Moby.
But if, I was just about to say, if they have a Moby, they have the opportunity to get back. Because they have that height, it's going to be difficult for anyone to stop them rezzing here. So Alliance should be able to get back up to a full 3 unless the Gaming Gladiators notice it happening and decide to try and push it up. But I think Gaming Gladiators have got enough to think about elsewhere. As now 9 lives on the southeast of this map.
Oh.
They're fighting against
Hanzo, Jay Hanzo.
So far on the south, but they've taken a lot of damage.
Yeah, big.
Well, the first half of that was pretty lit. After that, we kind of fell off, but you know, it's all good.
9 Lives making this a little bit more scrappy than it needs to be. Finally, they get some kills, but no. 9 Lives will go down. A few shots coming in from the distance. It's going to be GG who are trying to move in as well. They will be down to 1 as well, as Light now will be trying to survive, and it's Alliance and Hack is trying to chase him down, and GG will fall as Alliance will be able to get that res. We'll pick up yet more KP, and we'll start to clear their side of the zone a little bit more.
Yeah, GG pushed straight away as soon as they saw that mobile res come down, and sadly Alliance were ready for it, and Alliance now have the ability to go up into the skies here and try and find a position, because they have to use the ability to go up into the air. They have to use the evac tower because the zone is starting to come in now. They don't have much option to play, because if they go on the east side, there's going to be about 4 teams joining them here, so they might have to attack from the north. Now DMS, they have to approach from the southeast, but there's going to be a lot of teams ahead of them.
Oh, DMS are in trouble. I mean, the zone is closing, and this is just going to be like running the gauntlet for them.
Wow, the grapple gets them in. Not in, but at least in zone.
Buy themselves a little bit of time, but they've got to check every corner because there could be a rat or 2. Danish eliminated in the meantime. We're down to 9 squads now. DMS will lose 1 as Ozus will go down on this horrible, horrible rotate that they have to make. There's a 3 in front of them as well. They're going to try and play to get past. It looks like they are, but unfortunately it's looking like that will be the end of their game. Too many teams, too many guns. And
I'll say, I don't even know if they make it across if they have room underneath that.
And 3D Max, but only one of them is going to be able to get out of this alive. And it's going to be Passion UA, a team we mentioned earlier, being in one of those top 8 spots, but it looks like they might come to an end soon. They're being shot by ANC Outplayed, who are still within zone. ANC Outplayed, by the way, still the favorite to win this entire game.
You've got high ground from
they've been holding for quite some time, but now we turn our attention to the east,
and they're like
because
in zone,
Stay
right?
Healthy, Alliance, and kind of Forbidden are all in this northeast area.
Oh, they're going to get swung on, though. You can see
no,
there's
no
on the far side for them to play whatsoever. And Rats, they will be able to reset by the looks of things. The Stay Healthy got taken down by another team just ahead of them. That was actually Alliance, who were up on height, who kind of kept Rats alive.
Yeah, Alliance have been able to split up, and I don't think it's an intentional split up. I think it was every man for himself. They all played a spot, and somehow all 3 of them are still alive here, and Hackers is being able to really be a thorn in the side for Rats right now, but he has to be aware of his teammates, where they currently reside, and where they're going to be positioning themselves. But the good thing is, he's a Pathfinder, right? He can, if he wants to, zip across and join his teammates a little bit later.
Yeah, I kind of like this, to be honest with you, right? He's within zip distance. He's within the gun distance of his 2 teammates. And even though he's a little bit further out now, he is pressuring Rats in this corner and pressuring anyone who is on the west side of this zone. So Alliance spreading themselves across the map very strongly at the moment. Should be able to pick up KP with a great position.
What's he going to do? He's going to zip line across, I guess?
So much damage at the moment, and even though he's got the red Evo, if it went up any higher, he would be pretty close to getting leveled up to, I don't know, what, platinum?
It's just so much height that they have here and so much angles, but there's another Pathfinder zip that is going to go down to try and allow Rats to traverse across the map. But now Alliance have to turn their attention to the full English that are below them as well. Forbidden also moving from north down to a little bit further south.
Dude, whoever's doing the free camp today is doing a fantastic job.
But they are well aware that full English are near them, and I think inside this kind of cave formation.
Rats have been eliminated. We're down to 5 squads now as we see a couple more knocks coming in.
Alliance has 9 KP right now.
And the bang ult now
they've got a team below them.
Force Alliance away. Although a little bit of an exchange means damage is going to be done to the team underneath them, which is going to be full English. And when the damage is done, Alliance don't need to be asked twice. They're looking for yet more KP here. Alliance are really
gotta make sure you don't overextend and get a stupid down knock here.
Yeah, they are looking to make a statement, looking to try and be the champions overall when it comes to EMEA and be at the top of their region, as we have seen before. But they have to worry about ANC Outplayed. Yes, they took down full English, and yes, they can continue to push on, but they need to be thinking about other teams after this. But at the moment, they still have to get the final players, which they do achieve, and now it is 4 teams remaining.
Should have enough time for a refresh here.
And Passion UA.
ANC Outplayed this whole time, by the way. I've just been watching all of this happen. They've been inside of this three.
Is Alliance the most centered to where the zone's closing?
Right there. They only have
it's closing by this little rock, right?
Well, which gives you an indication of how much damage they've had, or opportunity to output damage that they've had in this game as well. So on the bottom side of your screen, you see Passion UA. They're going to have to move across that open ground.
Nah, it's more out in the lake.
No Pathfinder for them. However, they do have a Bangalore. Forbidden as well are going to be in front of them. They're trying to do a little bit of damage to them. And then Alliance now, who are going to be trying to take a little bit more space themselves. So that's how we're set up here, as the zone will start to close very, very soon.
Yeah, I think the armor difference is going to be the big factor here in this final circle, as Aku's just gone down to the ring trying to escape where Forbidden, as now Passion UA is starting to move up on Outplayed, and Alliance might be able to take full advantage of this. They have the healthiest armors, they have arguably one of the better positions. Now Outplayed have retreated to this building, and Alliance should be able to force these two teams into fighting one another and then clean up the pieces.
This is very, very interesting, though, because Passion UA, they're on the bottom. No gen available for another 20%, though, and no ALGS cells to pop to stop them getting hit by grenades. But on the top of the roof is going to be Alliance. So you can see a little bit of a spread at the moment. Inside of the building is going to be ANC Outplayed.
Where's the third for Alliance?
Is going to be Alliance.
He's still fucking all the way on the other side of the map.
Is
that Hawkins over there again?
Cake,
yeah.
Which doesn't taste too good for two teams, but one of them is their favorite flavor.
Alliance just gets this dub.
Again, just using that Pathfinder to get into a different position, to get
they get this dub, and they're going to have, what, damn near 30 points?
This should be Alliance's game, but we need to see something from one of the other squads to try and escape.
You can see that they're trying to push onto Hackett here. Trying to see if they can get that knock. However, with a zip line down, he'll be able to get out and towards his teammates if he needs to. Looks like that's exactly what they have done, and now they're going to drop.
Now they're drop down, fight for second.
The knock. They're looking for the second as well. Should be able to get the reset.
Nice.
It's a 3v3 here, and here come ANC Outplayed. Unlucky with some shots. Passion UA are completely eliminated. It's up to Hackett's in effect.
That's tough.
The last man alive gets one. It's a 1v1.
Actually, a really good play by ANC Outplay to push out with the catwall.
The game number one, and it was all.
And put Alliance on top of another team. Because they're that basically forces Alliance to have to fight for a second, right?
To get out of that building and to be able to force Alliance to have to then take the fight with the squad below them. Sadly,
that's brilliant.
Passion UA did enough damage just to allow the rest of Outplayed to push in at the right time. But without that Dark Veil, Alliance win that game, I think, every single time. But the fact that Outplayed were able to escape, reposition, and reconsider how they wanted to get into that fight, even though their armors weren't necessarily on reds, they were able to just bide their time and pick the perfect moment.
Yeah, it was a really good example as well of how you can't, if you're in a position to third party in that final fight, you have to immediately go. Even if you're not full health, even if you know that the other team might be able to get armor swaps, if you can close the gap quickly enough to take advantage of the fact that they might not quite hit the armor swap, they might still not have the white meds fully up, then that's where your armor advantage starts to kind of dissipate a little bit, and it becomes a little bit more of an even playing field. So you're quite right. The Dark Veil to escape that building was the reason they even had an opportunity to win it. And I think for ANC Outplayed, it's a great game number one, of course, winning it, but I think Alliance will be very, very happy, as will Passion UA, because both of them not only put points on the board from placement, but I'm pretty sure got some good KP as well.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if Alliance actually top the leaderboard still with the amount of kills they were able to get, and they might essentially have won that game, you know, just through the amount of points they acquired. But we can have a look at the match results now to get confirmation of that and see just how many kills Alliance were able to achieve. But for Outplayed, they had that position throughout the entirety of that game. It did look a little bit dicey towards the end, but the Dark Veil saved their bacon, but it was 16 kills for Alliance, so they really still come out as winners in my eyes. 25 points for match one.
Yeah, it's a monster game from Alliance. Like you say, the second place alongside the 16 kills is exactly how you want to kind of, I would say, make a mark, right? Really, really put your stamp on this final game day before we head to regional finals, especially when you're in the position where you want to call yourselves the champions of EMEA at the end of it. Elsewhere, though, it's the NIP disaster story at Cenote again, with one player getting picked off, even when they had that zone. Yes, they didn't have Beacon, but again, it's a game they will look back at, Dan. It's a game they will look back at and not be happy with how it went.
Yeah, I'm starting to wonder, like, what can you do to stop that happening? Someone maybe has to be very aware of their surroundings, or you just hope you get a ring console, which can really change things for you. But we can talk about the teams that got top three instead. I mean, Outplayed, a first place for them. They are down in 22nd at the moment in the overalls. They are one of these teams that is fighting for a regional spot. And a win is going to put you up there and is really going to leapfrog those other teams that are in that top 20 and put them in that conversation. If they can be consistent now for the rest of the day, we might see Outplayed in regional finals.
It's fascinating, right? We're to look at the three teams we have in that top three after game number 1, and all of them have different stories. Alliance trying to win the thing. You've got ANC outplayed who are trying to force their way into the top. I mean, it's fantastic. It means that everybody in this lobby at the moment has a story that they're chasing, and we're gonna have to see after the break if some of those stories are gonna continue to be chased. As when we get back, we've got game number 2 coming your way.
They show scoreboard while I was gone, chat. My bad. Oh. Got a minute and a half. Yeah, buddy. Lions had 16 kills at the second place at last round. That's crazy. So that play by ANC outplay, brilliant. Any big surprises? We saw Nip go out in 19th. I mean, I would probably say the two big teams to watch today. And remember, as far as when we talk about trying to set themselves up for regional finals to be able to qualify for LAN, Exo Clan needs to bounce back. Nip needs to bounce back. I mean, I guess you could say the sense of free agent kids, like they kind of need a bigger day. Holy shit. Those are like the first three like ones right now that need kind of like a good bounce back. Yeah. Oh. Yeah. Yeah.
Series. Well, welcome back here to game 2 of our ALGS Match Day 9. I'm Rain Day here with Dan Gaskin, and it's time to get into the action again. But a recap for those who, in that minute and a half, if you've just joined us, Alliance took a massive game all the way up to second place, where ANC outplayed, who just had better position throughout the entirety of it. You called it, Dan, and Mark alongside you took the W there.
Yeah, and I thought that, Alliance were going to be able to take that W away from them, because even though ANC...
I thought originally where they were sitting, they were good.
The game, once Alliance
the
were
push
able to
out on the
dominate
Hakas was brilliant.
and gain the armors and have that presence, and then gain the positioning above the other teams, it looked like it was for sure going to be Alliance victory. But in the end, it was a Dark Veil to escape the clutches of Alliance and force Alliance to have to fight the team below them. And sadly for Alliance, they weren't able to really secure that victory against the team below them healthily enough, and it was that Dark Veil right there just to allow them to escape. Alliance did fantastically to take out the team below them, but then as they were changing their shields, as they were just trying to get into those loot boxes, sadly Outplayed came in at just the right time to finish off the pieces, get their first victory, and what an important victory it is for Outplayed. They're currently in 22nd in the overalls, trying to get to regional finals.
And a performance like that's going to give you a lot of confidence heading forward as well. One of the worst things to do in a match day like this is die early and wait, and then have to jump into another match as well.
This is Apex.
What's
up, Flippy? How you been,
buddy? See outplayed. They won the very first match day they were involved in.
How was your holiday?
5 points, 6 points, 2 points, and 1 point overall.
Hopefully it was nice and relaxing.
In their latest match day, they've got to change things and get back to how
vibe
they
and mostly hell
so
yeah.
far. A win in game 1 will certainly do that.
I dig it. I dig it.
Game number 2, just a big shout out to the Challenger Circuit. July 20th to the 22nd, it will take place. Registration
just another day.
July 17th.
I feel it.
So head to battlefly.com/ALGS to sign up. Great stories all around the Challenger Circuit.
Day off where everyone's barbecuing.
A few players who are just premiering here in the ALGS yesterday, such as Attenum, and you can see stars in the process of being made. We'll hope to continue to see more of those.
Another weekend day, essentially.
Fun fact here, coming Rain Day from production as well. Alliance just got 26 kills in total
reset
yesterday,
in the
and
front
they
yard.
just achieved 61% of that in one match. So that shows the difference we've just seen.
I know this past
much
week
of a
was some
mammoth game Alliance just
decent
put
weather.
on. We saw that segment at the start of the show where they really were saying,
like down our way,
like
down like central, south central PA.
With a game like that, they really are
supposed to be a burner this week though.
Force they are.
Man, it felt like Alliance 2.
So it looks like you got your yard work in just in time.
a lot of motivation on either side, right? It's to win. It's also to prove people wrong. I know NIP and Nasky had mentioned I want doubters, but I feel like Alliance in a similar way has cultivated being so good that people have expected them to win already. They haven't, and that's where I think you do have a little bit of a chip on your shoulder. People doubting us. No, we can do this. We do have what it takes to take an overall championship at LAN. Not only are we going to get there, we're going to get there in style, winning Pro League. And that's obviously very, very important for them. And on the flip side, too, you know, Mark had mentioned it, just so many different stories on the opposite side. People trying to get into regional finals.
It's crazy to think that no one in EMEA had 100 points.
Their zone team, they love sitting
I guess Alliance is probably going to finish it with over 100
mimic
points.
Their performance here in game 2.
Like, there's not like somebody up at like 120, 130, 140 like we do in every other.
That they have to go all the way northwest, but I think that's going to be better than just
what? No way.
In the early game. So maybe that's good news for NIP. As for Outplayed, who are dropping over towards the mill, they did have a ring console as well, so they're going to know they need to move northwest too.
That's actually whack.
Down beast finish. It could also be a shift over towards the trenches. Even could pull towards checkpoint, but I imagine that we'll learn a lot from the likes of Danish and Blacklist International and Alliance, who are up in Northpad, who are going to be the 3 teams that have priority to the zone here.
That's
really good news
soft,
for a team like Danish, for example. We were talking about them at the top of the show. They're in that kind of bubble of teams that can secure themselves.
It was something where he's like, hey, just so you know, you should probably not. One of your neighbors is obviously
from young
super
Hong Kong.
uptight.
Found out that was his SoundCloud name, and he lived in Hong Kong for a couple of years. I mean, what a story. Great interview as well, and halftime showcase of one of my favorite new players.
That's wild.
Coming into the
that
ALGS.
Is insane.
Really in full force this split. But of course, Danish sitting there with Blacklist International, another team we highlighted, ANC Outplayed already in the mix. So we talked about them having an early rotate. Dan,
this is the one that finishes at the house.
The review of these teams. What
2 buildings in the fence line, I bet, right here.
A good spot. Who maybe has a tough spot here, a tough rotate to get into
the zone
for
real.
And find a way.
Well, of course, any of the teams
Brothers trying to be cool out in the scorching hot, doing some yard work.
The amount of choke points you have to go through, and you're going to be last to zone. And with Blacklist International and Outplayed moving that quickly to
that's actually hilarious.
Enough of where they think it's going to be finishing, and with a zone like this, it
probably not as funny as it should be, but it is fucking funny.
Beast. So you're going to have maybe 6 teams that can get a spot to play, and then after that, you just have to kind of accept that you're going to be in one of these surrounding buildings, and you hope for a weird zone shift, or to be able to force your way in later, maybe go for a crazy evac tower.
And you're just like, but for real though, my guy?
Weak, because look at the shields. I mean, it's whites, it's blues. All the early movers have not been able to get that loot.
Bro, you don't even want to be out here in this heat writing me this warning. Let's be real.
If you can get onto reds, if you can get onto purples,
let a brother work in his yard.
And you look at situations like this too. If you're going to rotate this early, one of the practical elements of it, if you're going to be on blues and whites, is you need something that's going to be able to do damage from range. I know these pros are amazing, but if you take even an average player, hitting havoc shots from that far away, it's going to be difficult. Now, our pros can do it, but having a Sentinel, having a G7, having a 30-30 as well makes a big difference on if you're able to impact some of these rotating players and get up to those purples a lot easier. Zidane saying Nemesis will do just fine for me. We saw effect.
Yeah, we're in trouble. I went through my Fizzinator way too quick.
One of our top kill leaders in all of EMEA. FA Kids looking to continue to make a run here.
I know there's still some left.
Just an arc star shutting.
I have apparently gone through a good amount of it.
Onto the top of the bridge for now from Jay Savage.
Well, Forbidden just got taken out in the kill feed as well, so they're going to be the first team to drop here. Remember, we're competing with only 19 squads, as Passion are no longer a roster.
I still don't quite understand.
But they are going to be able to even it up. That is Zidane.
I still don't know if I quite understand the meta.
To be able to perform like that, if FA Kids are going to succeed in this fight.
Because some teams very much still seem to be holding on to
it's a little risky. Because of course,
the Bang Blood combo.
The third party becomes more possible. Babylon's, he goes down, but he gets picked right back up. And Denze with the pressure from Fuse.
We're also still seeing a lot of Seer. What we're not seeing a lot of in EMEA that we saw in APAC South this morning in the regionals
to put a punishment
was we're not seeing much Watson.
Gets back up and with just 25 health to his name and a couple of shields, finds 1, maybe 2 kills.
Nice shots.
And that's FA Kids out of there.
It was an isolated fight as well, which is good news for Vex. You can see they're just scouting around in the moment, saying, is anyone else going to push us? Is there any third parties? But they have the entirety of the south side of this map to themselves.
We've seen,
so
what, a couple
it's going to
teams
actually
run
be
the
a very
Watson. I
quiet
feel like
and
Watson
peaceful
was like,
rotation for them to the next zone, but
what,
once they get there, that's when the journey suddenly becomes a little bit
six
difficult.
to eight
It's
maybe
like
teams
you
running
start
Watson. I just don't
in
feel like I've
these
seen
nice
that many
areas,
Watsons.
and then you suddenly end up in Mordor, and you have to kind of worm your way in and just hope that Smeagol's going to be there to show you through.
And do you even trust Smeagol throughout the way? It still feels like even when
I
you
do
get
feel like
there,
we've
there's
probably
some
seen
things
a
that worry
little
about
bit more
behind the scenes
Pathy
as well. It's funny you mentioned we've
compared
got a
to
player who is LOTR,
Apex now
and
this
I think
morning.
Tiff called Lord of the Rings the other day. That's 2 in a row for us on the ALGS. It just must be going down as well. Also, big fun aside, if you're a fan of the boys, I could not believe Carl Urban was in Lord of the Rings. I totally forgot that Billy Butcher was actually the lead writer of the Rohirrim.
Yep.
Had no idea. And I'm like,
started
that's a
playing
person,
idle
but,
merge
that
games.
fun aside there.
I don't even know what that
Lord of the Rings is with us no matter what.
Those darn actors playing
What does that
different
mean?
characters just catching us off guard.
This is
eh?
idle
God,
gaming
yeah.
stuff we've been
Honestly,
hearing
it's
about.
brilliant, the talent that we see across the acting world. Anyway, now back to the ALGS world. We only have 4 teams who are outside of this next circle. Players, 73 Esports, Alliance are just outside of it as well, and Vex, of course, will be mentioned earlier on that south side. Now, as we watch the journey of NIP, they were able to get a ring console this time, they were able to loot, they were able to actually play the game, and they find themselves within checkpoint.
We also
Now,
haven't
the
seen any
zone is
advantage
heavily
today
shifting,
on
we think,
EMEA, huh?
towards Down Beast.
We
and
saw
we'll
a
get more information on that very
couple.
shortly,
Like what,
and there is
3?
that confirmation on our screens, and you'll see it shortly as well. So NIP will continue to have to move from east to west, which is something they struggled with yesterday on World's Edge, but maybe Storm Point is going to be a little bit different for them here. They've got good armors. Have they learned from some of the mistakes they had yesterday?
And I think it's an interesting point to bring up around
okay.
east to west. You mentioned it earlier on talking about their journey yesterday, but I wonder if there's something more to that in terms of Apex as well. Hot zones, something the designers talked about quite heavily. They can see where most fights occur in these maps.
Bro,
and
Alliance
sometimes
is
you've
at
seen these
31
huge map
points.
over changes that shift where those hot zones are because they feel maybe an area is a little bit too tough to rotate from. Sometimes it happens to be
Already got
potentially
themselves
just a
5
look of the draw,
KP.
maybe an east to west,
And they are up
rotation.
here
We certainly see a lot of those things happen from south
chilling.
to north. But NIP
By
at that
the
point
roundabouts
brings up
where the
something
zone's gonna
interesting to pay attention to. Will it change here? Alliance don't want to change a single thing about what happened.
They are gonna have to rotate a
earlier
little
in
bit, I
game
guess.
1. They're in first place by far, 31 points as of now. So they are sitting pretty, certainly putting in their best foot forward to win this Pro League so far.
And here is the
I was trying to remember, they had a rough start to their split before Unlucky joined them, right?
Well, you found yourself a little bit of space to work with, or have you? Anthony's
Start
gone
of the
down,
split
so
was,
Nasty
like,
and Zayn now have to work as a
during the
two.
home
Nasty's
stretch
taking
of
a lot
RLCS
damage,
and the high school
this
things
is what
that's
I was
had
mentioning
me
earlier. When you arrive late here, if you don't
running,
take a direct fight,
there
there's
for
just
about
so
a
many
month,
teams that are going to be looking
month and
at
a
you. NIP, they might get the chance to reset, though. One of the advantages of arriving late with a lot of other teams is that no one is going to commit to fighting you because no one's going to want to give up their position here.
And this is just the issue as well. Like you mentioned, having to use so many resources to get in. If pressure comes again, they're going to be out. No Rolling Thunder to deal with. They still have to hit medkits, both of them. Zane's doing his best to hold this. And Nasty is separated from the squad, as a Pathfinder should, being able to just give him a little bit more of an option. But a full silence comes
I don't know if I
out.
like the
Nasty's
idea
looking
of
to try and push
Nasty
off that. The grapple in, PK
being
out,
recommended to
misses
be
it.
away from the
Ledge will
squad.
be
I'm not gonna lie to you.
the first opponent that he has to go
Like,
against.
obviously,
It will
it's
not
like
work
the way
out.
you should be
NIP
playing
again
Pathy.
with Amphy, and he's just biding his time, very patient, but they're going to lose another one. And
But
this
that
is
point,
just a
Nasty
numbers
gets
game. It's not going to be
eager
enough. NIP
sometimes.
will be eliminated off of that.
I just don't know
treacherous
who
down
else
beast
you would
rotation that
put.
happened just too late.
Well, it was a Dark Veil that saved ANC
Like, if you're gonna
outplayed
run
in the
that,
previous game.
like,
Can it be
composition, I don't know
another one
how
here
else you put
to
it out.
keep them on top, but no, DMS are arriving, I think, a little bit too soon. And
maybe
Outplayed
Zayn
likely
on
gonna have
Pathy?
to try and retreat and
Although I don't know if
stay
he's
alive here
comfortable on Path.
because DMS have pushed up on them. So NIP started all of this commotion, by the way, by getting that late ticket into down B, starting to push as ANC outplayed, get eliminated. I'll talk about NIP a little bit later because I don't think we need to harp on about them now they are out of this game. We can start to look at other teams, Alliance, who are still on this northern side.
Or is that
They're
one of
gonna
those
have to
things
go
where it's
through the likes
recommended
of
your
Stay Healthy
Pathfinder
and Rats before they can even
be
get
on
into
M
this
and K
next
sort
zone?
of deal? Probably, yeah.
Exoplan firing a few shots. They're in an interesting position as well. We had highlighted them yesterday because they have this traditional thing that they've done over the course of all these match days, which is a couple of slow games and then one powerhouse game, just like Alliance saw, that gets them into contention. They're currently sitting in 10th But
We're
you know
back
they
to
like
shooting
be in
diamonds,
case when you
chat.
talk about him, Slayers finally finding that right third member with
Get
you.
'em.
Can they do it? Alliance, though, could it have just been a game one story? Hockey's trying to salvage something out of this. They lose two. Nine Lives Esports and Stay Healthy also go down as squads, and Alliance making it out with just one. A bit injured, but still alive.
I've seen Hackies do some incredible things in ALGS, and if you can get them at least into the top 10, then I think it'll be job done for them. With a couple of kills on the board as well, but now Rats, they're going to be able to finish up the pieces of Alliance. Effect and Unlucky go down. The incredible duo of controller players sadly will not be able to help.
I'm so
Hackies for the
happy to
rest of
see
this
more
game.
people on the
But maybe
Pathfinder
Hackies
though,
can pull
chat.
off some
Not
wonderful
gonna
magic
lie.
here to still find Alliance with more points. But now
I know he
Rats
just
can
be out here
kind of move
grappling.
from the north here. They are going to have a lot of room to play with. They're going to be the first team from the north
But
to
I'm a
actually
fan.
get into zone. So there's the potential Rats can gatekeep the likes of 73 Esports.
If we could
and
get
the remainder
Fuse
Alliance.
out of the meta, that'd be kind of cool.
Decent spot
Big
here.
fan. I'd be all right with keeping
Utilizing
Seer
things.
if we could
11
get rid of
squads left.
Fuse,
Great
honestly.
setup to
Is
this
that
game.
bad?
Really
That's
becomes a
probably how
different
Seer
one. Just
stays around
getting
longer now, huh?
into these top 10 situations, oftentimes
Fuse is gonna
it's the
take the
difference
grenade
that a
for
team
Seer.
needs to just unlock the win. And it's so competitive, especially when you have a full rotation all the way, either west, north, east, or south, which is what this has done. This is pulled to the very west of this entire map.
So we're gonna actually
To give
land
you a
our
little bit of
finish
an
on Beast,
overview,
huh?
Dan, to set up our last 11 teams here vying for a win on Down Beast.
Down Beast is always a very exciting zone to watch, but not necessarily the favorite to play, I think, for some of these pro players because of the amount of teams that can be in this
True,
final
though.
circle. But it does mean as a
They should
viewer,
just
we are going
get
to have a
good
lot of teams
forehead.
still alive, which means it's going to be absolute mayhem once we do get there. Now, the teams that are on the height often have a little bit of an advantage
For
going into
legal
that final
reasons, that
circle,
is
so
a
we'll keep an
joke.
eye on the likes of Danish, who are going to be up there from the very start of this one. Now, elsewhere, it is the commotion we were talking about. Rats holding out 73 Esports in the moment.
I mean, information
Rats
is
trying to make-
valuable.
A continued climb up
Let's
the
be
leaderboard
real,
here.
no
Fourth
matter what
place
kind
is
of
solid
shooter
for
you're
them.
playing.
We saw them take that earlier fight as well, sitting in 8th place on the top of your screen with 6 points over the likes of Zidane and FA Kids. Can Rats hold this position down? One of the hardest things to do is when teams know this is the spot we want to play from, we're going to give you a little bit of trouble. Let's test your might, so to speak, and see if you can hold us out. Rats doing a decent job thus far. Few grenades. That's a full push as well. Trying to find a corner. They do find one, and it's going to force Rats out. That was
Yep.
a great move as well. You can just tell Mania can't see anything. Tolkien falls. Funk is down, or at least he's soon to be down on the outside. Mania and him just saying, well, here's the last bit of the
Hey,
finish
yo,
we
yeah.
got.
Nice
That
actually
should do
swing
it.
up top from the other
Rats
two.
go out. They could not
Since you knew the
handle
one was holding the
that
door down.
push from Slayers. And, from 73 Esports.
Now Tolkien goes down, yet another Lord of the Rings reference as well. That just slightly manages to work its way into the broadcast
What up,
unnecessarily
Sparkles?
and maybe unknown
Hit
to
him with
some.
the
As
dab.
Hack is still alive and
Hit
still
him
on
with
his
the dab.
journey.
Ivan.
Will be able to heal up and
What's the
make
good
his way
word?
through the northern side, I imagine. And he's done his job. I said that you want to be
How's
able to
your
achieve
Sunday
getting
going
into
so
the
far?
top 10 and getting those extra points. He has done
It's crazy to
exactly
think it's
that.
Sunday.
Extra placement points now available for Alliance. But ExoClan, a team who
Weeks
are still
blown by,
hunting to get
weekends.
into those top 8 positions so that
Been
when
weird
they're
at the
in regional
holiday on
finals,
Thursday.
they can at least be ahead of the rest of the competition for a chance at playoffs. They've also got ring console information, which will give them quite a big advantage. Not many teams in this final circle are going to have console information here, and we are continuing to move west. It is going to end up on the west side of Down Beast, almost towards the front legs of said Down Beast.
Yeah, in a way they could have a tough one because they've got 73 Esports right behind them. They'll have to play at least 2-3.
I'm
look
sorry
into their
the body's
back.
aching.
Hopefully
That's no
Danish,
bueno.
3D Max, who are sitting
Hopefully
either on
your
height
holiday was
or
good,
down
though,
below,
at
or sharing
least.
that space are going to not look.
Hopefully you
That's
feel
really the
better
key. Don't
soon.
look
Enjoy
at
the
EXO
camo
for their
meal.
hopes to continue again. We talked about their story.
Awesome.
We'll continue to see if this is the pop-off game or one of the ones that go unnoticed in the annals of history. As you can see, a big overview of it here. A couple teams on height as well. We mentioned Young Hong Kong, Danish, holding that northwestern side of Down Beast. And Blacklist as well, trying to make their way in. JMW, Shaco, and Hyarka on that south side. It's not a
Denzay
bad
gets
spot
both
to
of his
play
homies back in,
as
huh?
well.
I'm trying to work out who kind of has the best position here, Evan, because high ground is usually what you kind of seek out. You can see 3D Max having a lot to work with. Danish also in a position where they can really try and annoy anyone who's trying to arrive
So
late
Vex,
as well. So they're
not
going
to be
two teams to
confused
keep an eye out on.
with
but
Vexed.
there's also players who currently hold the
Back up
southwest
to a 3.
side, and they could maybe be in one of the priority positions for the final circle. So that's a team I'm going to be keeping an eye on, but a player we have to watch out for is Hackis on his rat journey. After
Are you
Alliance
downstairs,
was taken out
Buff? It
by
has
the
definitely
rats,
been
he now has to
pumping
rat himself.
downstairs. I don't feel it as
He
much
knows how
up
to do
here.
this so well, and this
I
is
do
what
in
an
front of
IGL will do.
my
Look at
AC
how long
though.
it's been to go from 11 to 10. Soon we're going to be
Legit, when I'm
going
standing,
down
too, I had to
about
put some
6
pants
squads
on
as well,
instead of
because one
shorts.
fight from each of these teams turns it into a top 5. But Alliance trying to be that 6-1. Hockey's just staying out of their eyes and willing to take some damage from the zone. Not much. We'll check the kill feed to see if he can somehow make an incredible maneuver. Nice little jump up there from the rope. 73 Esports and Adam ZZ pushing into this building. They'll have cover a little bit, but they'll have to move.
73
just
Esports, he's a big
beyond
day
it.
if they're going
And
to want
down
to try
below, is
and
this
qualify
Vex?
for
They're
regional,
finishing
or
off.
yeah,
It
qualify
is.
for
Vex
regionals.
got a reset. They had 2 players come down in, but now they'll go out and 73 Esports will take their spot.
Oh, but they are going to lose
And
one.
walked
And
out
it's even though
icicles.
you
Yeah,
take
it's
that
nice in
spot,
here.
there is other players, other
Like,
teams
even
in
with
the
the lights
area
on and
just
everything.
to shoot you from height, it looks like. But not just height. It seems like every single angle. Doesn't matter where you go here. You have to dodge, dive, dip, but you are still getting absolutely destroyed, and they will go down. 73 Esports, the next team to be eliminated. Exo Clan will take that
It's still
spot
so
now.
weird to me to
And
see
this is a great
EXO
spot
Clan
for
in
EXO. This is
EMEA,
a
man. I know they've been up there like
well-executed
in
zone. They've stayed
EMEA like all
exactly where they
season.
were, and they
It's just
looked
I
to that
hear
south. They
EXO
put
Clan.
pressure
I think
on all of
APAC
those
South.
teams rotating at the right time, and now they can sit
Sage.
for a moment and assess, because now they will be the team moving like 73 Esports was to where players are already holding. Speaking of Danish and 3D Max, it's a good point to consider who does actually have the best spot as well. Alliance will go down. It's a top 7. That's better than we would have expected, and that's what an IGL like that will do for you. Get you 3, 4, maybe 5 points on the day that you wouldn't have gotten because of their awareness of the game. So Alliance continuing to push their lead. Can DMS do something different here with a grapple as well, trying to just get up Ausis? And I think Prestis will find a way to do so.
DMS
Yeah, I
players,
just
Danish,
realized
there
that I
were
did
3
not
teams to look
hit
out for. I mean,
ads
I think it's only
during
3
ring
of
number
6 right
2.
now, so it's not like I'm
That's
making
my bad.
a big prediction.
I know
here,
most
but
y'all, if y'all have
Fashion
ads,
UA
can't hear
and
me.
EXO are both kind of stuck inside the
my
down
fault.
beast or around the down beast. Players are holding the buildings on the southwest. DMS are holding the
forgot.
down beast on the north, and then Danish have the high ground. We are going to see late arrivals
I'm
and a
an
chance
idiot.
to
But
maybe
yeah, name was nasty.
try and move here through the skies, but I don't know how successful that's going to be as DMS have just
I saw
lost
my ad
one
thing pop up
to
on
the
my OBS, and I
ring,
thought
so
it
they
was
do
the
have
one
to be
where
a
I
little
could
bit
snooze
careful.
it, and
The second
unfortunately
time
not the
Ausis
one
has
that I
gone
can
down as
snooze it.
well. EXO
What
playing
are
a bit of pressure
ads?
on a Danish
True
occasion. I
though.
think they're just
True
sitting
though.
and chilling. As you see, I was taking a look in the map feed. Now, no, EXO's just sitting pretty inside. This is one way to hold it, but all of the chaos happening outside as well. Artico, Sonya, get back up for Passion UA. 23 points, a silently very strong game from them and Max Strafey to put them in the 2nd place as of now. Still, you could say that this is a game that we cannot decide who is going to be the winner. And look at the difference here. Young Hong Kong and Danish. Let's follow along with them for a second. They're in the best spot potentially, Dan. But look at those blues. This is not going to work in a late game fight.
Yeah,
Danish have
they're
been
in a
here
tough
from the very
position with
start, and
with
my
triple
worry
blue.
was, is anyone going to try and compete with them on the top of down beast? They've done very well to keep teams at bay. They actually transitioned from white to
I
blue
thought
purely
Rain Day
through
was
doing
calling
damage,
for
I
a
believe.
Lisbon, but I guess
And
not.
now they have the opportunity to be the last team on high ground and drop down into that final fight. Now, dropping into the final fight doesn't always guarantee you the win unless you can be the last team to arrive whilst other teams have been damaged. Now,
Nice
Exoclan
swing from
pushing
Case
within
winning.
down beast do a lot of damage here and should be able to wipe this squad. DMS
They should be able to back up at
and it
least
does
to
mean now Exo
get
will
a
be
quick
into
reset.
The top 3 as Passion UA have also gone down.
EXO looking phenomenal. We asked if this would be the pop-off game. Maybe not the biggest one.
They still have a
that
team
they've
up
had,
on
but maybe
top
this
of
is the
them on
start to
down
something
beast here, but then
new.
you have the last
Some
team that's across the way.
consistency here, some strong performances, even if it's not a 30 bomb.
That they were just looking
from
at to that
K-Sweaty
left side.
Slayers and Fuda as they head into their final chance before regional finals. Game 2 is looking like it could be anybody's. Danish on high, best position, but the least amount of shields. EXO have to move out. Otherwise,
Yo,
I would say
Twitch
they are
Turbo's
set up
honestly
and
the way
ready
to go.
with the Watson fences as well. And when you look at players, I mean, they could stare at everyone. They
If
could
you
be
watch
the
a
ones
lot
that
of
get
Twitch.
focused. They could be the ones that do the focusing and make it difficult for EXO and Danish to actually drop down and have a chance to play. Dan, it's up to anybody right now.
I
to
love
take
it with
up.
doing as many
Yeah,
watch
Danish
parties
just need
as
to
we
find a
do.
little ledge, a little lip to hide behind, so the other two teams will spot each other out and start to engage, and then they should be able to drop and potentially win this
Plus
game.
just
The blue
watching
shields do still
otherwise
worry me though,
stuff on
because
Twitch.
if players can wipe EXO as they run out of down beast here, then they would have the advantage
Who
going into
needs
that final fight purely off of the shields. Now, you're going to see an evac tower going down here for EXO. That's probably just a distraction technique, but we could see one of these teams take a risk
Evac
here.
tower?
If they don't feel like the fight is
Yeah.
winnable, they might just go up. But I think EXO Clan are going to use it as a distraction and start to try and take some positioning here.
Or they were
Slayer's doing a
using,
great
they
job
had
of
to have
Watson,
used
a
it to use
character we don't
the
see
fuse
enough
ulti, right?
in these final zones, and we'll continue to
Like
see
that-
this
that
character,
has to-
though,
yeah, you can
in
see that
EMEA
they've
be
got the-
represented as well as APAC North. Maybe it'll just tilt the tide
Ball
to coming
hacks.
back into the full-on.
Let's say, I don't know what he means about a distraction.
Not worried about defenses. They're worried about being offensive as well. Smokes from above from Danish. Case when he doesn't have much in his vision right now. You can see it from his perspective. He's got a thermite, but he's just waiting, biding his time. And no, Danish will not have been able to get onto purples before this final fight. What will that mean for the team?
Bro,
on ice?
Danish
Who's been
really
dominating
needs to
so
hope
far
that
in terms of
players
position
in
to try to claim a
EXO.
win.
They still have the high ground.
Oh,
though.
they
can
do have a
work
place where they
these
can hide,
legs,
they can jump
and
down.
They can just wait for
Never
the
mind,
teams
I was
to
gonna
start
say
to
they
unfold, and
they're gonna have to
can
hope
throw
the other two
grenades
to
if they have any, but I'm not
actually
sure how much
have an
resources that
engagement, but that's
actually
just
they
eventually
have
gonna
to use
happen. Here it
But
is.
It's just a case of hoping that the damage is done by
EXO
the
should
other
get
squads.
second.
That's got to go down. EXO Slayers does. Case
Yeah,
Winnie, can
and
he
then
clutch it
Danish
up?
get the
If
win
so,
for free.
This is just Danish dropping down for a nice morning treat here as they clean it up in game 2. The position pays off, and Young Hong Kong
Who needs
and
shields?
Squad take the win.
When you can just third
Danish
party.
drop at
Smiles,
down beast,
welcome
they
to
go the
APAC.
bakery shop, and boy, do they get
Honestly, I
those
mean,
sweet
that's
treats
what
because
position you
they
can do for you,
needed
though,
it.
right?
When
Like-
you look at their position and their chances of getting to playoffs, they're one of those teams who is competing for those top 8 spots once we get into regional finals. Yes, they've already secured regional finals, but you need to be ahead of the rest of the competition. And when we've seen teams like NIP exiting early, this is a great chance for Danish to take those points.
I mean, we talked about
seize that
EXO Clan
opportunity,
being
dropping towards
a
down
team
beast.
that,
they had the high ground for the entire game.
Probably
and
the
they make it
lowest
count.
of teams that are in still
What
the
I
hunt
love there is
for
the
land.
psychology of that fight that is clearly on display. And one of the things is they're not in a great spot. Danish are hoping that somebody else does something for them. And in this case, it's EXO Clan. The benefit, though, of being able to work those ledges, as you so aptly pointed out, Dan, is they now force EXO Clan, from their perspective, to go, all right, what's our game plan here? Because if we just wait, we might get third. But we have a chance to easily push this team. So even though it's not in our best interest to win and we're supporting Danish, we need to take this fight. And so Danish, just by waiting, force EXO Clan to do what's best for them in their situation and take a guaranteed second place. And obviously that gets Danish a win when Blue Shields final circle against Reds and Purples. You don't really think that's going to happen.
One kill
But they
from
find a way, and
Danish.
that's part of what's made
Top tier
this last
gameplay
run
for the
ALGS Split
13
so
points,
fun to watch.
baby. Let's get it.
But they do get first with 1 kill, and it's.
But I mean, they
you know,
are the
that's
number 8
sometimes
seed
how
right
Apex
now,
Legends
right? So like
goes.
every
It's
point
again Similar
matters.
to what we saw in match 1, the team in second place essentially wins the game with the most points. But
Granted,
Danish
they should
dropping
be
it
able to
down
pass
east,
up, go
that
next
was
with just
their whole game
a
plan was
10th
we're going
place
to take
finish
height, we
today.
are going to wait, we're going to make sure we do enough damage to those teams arriving so that we can hold this position, and eventually we should be able to win, if not get at least top 3. Yes, it's not a high kill game, but it is a
Yo,
good
I need my
points
boy
total for their
Nasky and
chances
Ninjas in
of getting
pajamas to
towards
step the
playoffs.
fuck up, though.
Consistency was the word that I
Would
mentioned
be
at the start of the day,
kinda cool.
and to be able to get a win from your POI is always something you have to achieve.
You know, it's like in a battle royale or something. I mean, what is actually the best, right? I mean, you could say, well, you guys needed like 25 kills to win this game. We only need 1 at the end of the day. So who's really outsmarting the rest of the lobby? Danish will leave you to have that conversation against EXO Clan, who popped off as well with 12 kills, 4,600 damage. They'll certainly be thinking first place belongs to them, even if
12
it doesn't
kills,
show on
19
the leaderboard. The
assists for
players
EXO
also
Clan.
made things
Golly.
interesting. Sanya, Jukes, Fight2 found a way
That's
to hold
insane.
that third spot. Probably the worst spot out of all because 2 teams could face onto them, and so that's how it ended up translating as we
Putting
head to
in
our
work.
series results after 2. Passion UA, they had a sneaky game, Dan. A lot of points that went unseen on our broadcast, but it puts them into a second place position, followed by EXO Clan, ANC outplayed, and Danish rounding out the top 5.
I can't stress how important it is.
So I guess that means
Danish were
EXO Clan
able
must
to
have had
find
0
that
points,
victory
right?
to get the
Yeah,
13
21 points
because
at
when you
last
look
game.
at
They're sitting on 21
the
now.
teams that are around them, EXO Clan is one of those teams as well who are also chasing that top 8 position. Passion UA are in 7th at the moment. They're ahead. So
Yeah,
Danish need to be
Alliance
able
still
to
has a
catch them up.
10-point lead
And
after
you're gonna have
just
some
2
teams
games.
that
It's
are a
kind of
little bit
crazy.
lower that could still be competing with those positions. Outplayed, for example, who really are putting on some points on the board now, even though they're a little bit lower on their
Passion
chances of getting to
disbanded,
regional
like, halfway
finals,
through
there is
the
still the chances
split.
of playoffs as well once they get to those regional finals. So you have to be wary of all of your surroundings here.
Well, game 2 goes the way of Danish with a perfectly executed end zone and plan.
Like there
to
is
make it
passion
happen.
and then
Game
there's
3, our
passion
final one on
away.
Stormpoint coming up.
Just passion
after this.
disbanded after no, because it was after three match days for the group. So it was halfway through. Yeah. So what's today? Today is the 7th. Does the Shift League start this week, chat? Does anybody know? I think that starts soon, right? I know this week also there's the promotion relegation tournament for VCT Challengers. Or is it Challengers? Yeah, Challengers.
Welcome back, everybody. 2 games done, and our final game on Stormpoint is just about to get underway. Danish winning the last
That's
game
at the end
with
of the
just
week, though.
Single kill.
But I
Man,
think
and
Shift
I
League
joked
starts
in
this
our
week,
little
I
chat
think.
that imagine if someone
Right?
won land with just 1 kill. That'd be a story, wouldn't it?
I mean, it's definitely doable, and it's what people try and do on LAN when it comes to match point, because they just try and get into a position and hope the game just wins itself for them sometimes. And that's exactly what it was for Danish. They had priority position right from the start of the game. They dropped it down Beast. They took the best spot. They had the high ground. They hoped the zone would pull in the way that they thought it would, and it did continue to do so. I think what helped was that teams on low ground, there was only 2 left. If there was 3 teams left on low ground, they might have been forced into a position where they had to drop when there was
Oh,
more
the
teams, a
open
little bit healthy,
qualifiers
more
this
players
week,
to kind of cause
right?
them a little bit
10th,
of
it looks like.
tough love, but instead they were able to just force those 2
Shift
squads
Summer
into
League.
each other at the very end, and they were rewarded for their positioning. It was a game plan perfectly executed.
Yeah, it was a tough zone for anyone that wasn't on height, essentially. You can see just these end moments, a very, very simple job for them. We mentioned only 1 player to take care of, and if you can't take care of that 1 player at this standard in the Pro League with the opportunity to close out a
The
game,
Shift
then you probably
Summer
won't be
League
in the
for
Pro
our,
League, and that's
for Rocket
exactly
League?
what Danish did manage to do. So 2 games done. ANCL played with the win in game number 1, Danish with the win in game number 2, and now we head into our final game on Stormpoint before we flip things up and head over to World's Edge.
So Danish getting the win from Down Beast, Outplayed getting their first win from the Mill, and it was down towards kind of between Mill and Cenote. So the 2 teams who have the POI drops getting a victory on the board, but it was the teams who were finishing in
Since
second
that's where
place
I've been
and
getting
kills,
the
Alliance and Exoclan, who
most
really demonstrated
casting
that
work. I try
if you're
and
playing
watch
on
as much
Edge,
as I
if you are
can.
arriving late to zone, you can still essentially win a game. You don't necessarily have to get first place to do so. You can do it through your kills and that KP that is achieved for every single kill that you get. So the zone, we know it's always going to be,
especially depending on who the play-by-plays are, because I got a couple things I'm trying to
have a
work
chance
on this
to win the
offseason.
game, but is that win going to put you with enough points to get you into the regional spots? That's my biggest question.
Very, very interesting to see how those zones do convert into wins, and also how Exoclan convert at least 1 game, it seems, per series that we see them at the moment, into a 20+ point game. It just seems like they just have that 1
All right,
game
chat.
where they kill
Game
everything
number
on their way to
3,
zone.
last game
That'll
on
be their points for the
Stormpoint.
day. They need to put
Let's
a
see
couple
what
more
kind of
games together, though,
zone
if they
we
want
get.
to
We
be
had what?
in with an opportunity to qualify for that land. Remember, they are
southern-
just
southwest
outside
zone
the
and
top 8 at
northwest
the moment,
zone?
going into today's
Our first
game
2?
day. So a big day needed for Exoclan as Danish. Well, they had down beat zone last time, and they're going to have a ring console to find out where it's going. And for Danish,
So
and
we're at least getting
ANCL
3
played,
west zones.
well, they've got some pretty good prior to this zone
At
as
least
well.
this
but
one's a little bit more
Passion
central, though.
Over at Cito, well, they've got the best of it all.
Yeah, I would say it's been a very good set of games for Blacklist International, Danish, Outplayed, Passion UA, and NOP, because it has been all kind of very western zones, whether that be north or west. And this one, again, even though it's slightly central with Sito, it is still a priority position if you are on the west. It's much more difficult if you are on that eastern side. But a team who demonstrated that that doesn't matter is ExoClan, all the way down towards Devastated Coast. They were able to achieve a lot of kills in that previous game, and they'll be looking to do a similar thing here. Now, if trends are going to continue the way they have been in the last two games, Passion UA become one of the favorites to win this game. But I think Outplayed, Danish, Atlas International, even Forbidden, 3D Max moving quickly.
Zone,
they could
even
all
like a little
maybe
bit like
get into a
Stormcatcher
spot that
between
could
Lightning
arguably
Rod.
be better than Passion UA's if they predict where that zone is going incorrectly.
It's going to be an interesting zone, actually. Just trying to check who's got ring console info as well. Down Beast, like we said, the Danish, they have it. They've already made their way to zone. NIP do
I just feel
have
like we
it
don't
as
get
well,
anything
but
up there that often.
Longer time
It's
because
the
such a spread out POI to get their skates on towards zone. We saw that ANC Outplayed, they're heading towards zone as well. Not sure they actually had a ring console, but probably just with the traffic that's going past them, they can get the idea of where things are going. And Danish, well, they're out. They won the last game with 1 kill. This time they are out first in the lobby.
Well, by
I think
Danish.
when you are dropping towards Down Beast and you are
Have a
rotating
wonderful
past them, you have
time.
to be very aware of how quickly you've looted and how quickly you've moved, because the positions that Mill can find themselves in to hold you out if you are going from west to east is very difficult to try and get through, and we've just seen that happen. Outplayed taking full advantage of a slightly unaware Danish.
I'm not
and
gonna
winning
lie,
that
I
engagement.
kind
Now,
of
a
missed
team
the
that
more
rotated
busy
a little bit
early
later
game
was
from
NIP.
the old
They've not
drop
moved yet
system.
from Cenote, so they're going to be happily looting and not trying to be as quick as the likes of Outplayed.
Well, ANC Outplayed tried to have a little look, I think, if that building was free, and that building was occupied already by Passion UA, who were the team who dropped over at Sito Station. So they're going to have the prior position. That's where they think the zone is going to be ending, or certainly the building is going to be closest to where the zone is going to be ending. So ANC Outplayed instead, they're going to hit the evac and try and overtake some of the traffic. But you can see that Will's taking a little bit of damage on his way out, but they're going to stick this. And they're going to try and take the height away by the looks of things. So maybe a little bit of a change of decision because they realize with the shields.
Yeah, I agree. It's definitely better for competition. I mean, I feel like
that will be the end of their game. So I kind of like
when
that
you
swerve
look
away. It's a little
overall
bit of a, I
at
would say, navigating
like
risk
standings,
in a
I
sensible way
think
for them
not
to
only is it better
elongate
for
their
like
game instead of
individual
playing
game
a
sessions,
little
but
bit
just over
more
the course of
risky
the
and seeing
season.
if they can take a spot away and reset.
Yeah, there are certain times where you have
It's
to
one
really
thing about like the
consider your
individual
risks.
sets, like obviously.
Like, is it a risk that's worth it, right? Are
Couple
we in a
bads,
position where
but
this risk could win us the game? If
when
it's
you
not
need
going
to
to win
talk
us the
about
game,
it combined with the
why are we
POI
taking
draft,
that
which I've
risk?
really been
Can
loving.
we maybe take the same kind of risk a little bit later, which will have a bigger payoff, and it is more of a risk and reward? Now, FA Kids are just going to be, at the moment, looking to probably try and hit this survey beacon to get some extra information, but it looks like there's a couple of squads in Jurassic with them, so they're not going to be able to necessarily hit it comfortably. Instead, they're looking to try and take the fight.
Yes, Vex on the other side of this fence line at the moment, trying to rotate their way through. Probably thinking about doing the same thing that FA Kids
They didn't
are. But
hear him
my
at the
God,
door?
Zidane doesn't care. Zidane going to poke. Zidane going to get the clear.
They didn't see him pushing up?
Zidane's just going,
Wow,
hey,
get shit home.
Vex, how dare you come this way? I will take you all out, and he wants the third as well.
Zidane just wants everything. Zidane, when he starts to get going, when he goes into a flow state, he is one of the most terrifying players in the region, that's for sure. He's so confident he's going to challenge, knowing that he's going to do the damage. He's not even backing down here. He's probably screaming to his teammates, don't worry, I've got this one.
He's not even popping a battery. Like, he just wants to fight. He wants to kill. He's done enough damage. Surely
I was gonna say, he was just gonna wait for him to tuck tail and pop back up and shoot him in his back.
Comes in and goes, don't worry, guys, I'll do the final 15 damage. See when it's this team fight. I've got it. And Zidane's going, all right, buddy, I did the rest. Don't worry about it, though. Good job from you. But, I mean, that's about as clean a fight as you can get. And I've got to say, it's on the Vex side, a massive blunder to let Zidane walk through and pay no attention whatsoever to that gate. That's it's not good enough. That's what's going to cost you.
Yeah, it is going to cost you, and those can be the things that can really ruin your chances as well when we look at, you know, getting into the regional finals, getting to
It looks like open
as NIP
qualifiers
down to
start
2.
for
They've
the
lost their IGL, they've lost
shifting
Nasty,
on the 9th.
they've lost their Pathy, and they do not have the banner to work with either.
Yeah.
It's going to be a journey as a 2, and it's going to be more of a treacherous scenario for NIP. Sadly, it has been the same situation every single game where they've lost a player early.
So we got some stuff we can get into this week.
Yeah, not looking good for NIP, and especially when you go back to what you were talking about at the start of the day.
This
right?
week
How
I gotta
they
get
had
back
some
into a
really,
routine.
really, I would say woes, really
All
strong
the way
woes
around.
on World's Edge the last time that we were out. And that's where we go next. So Storm Point not looking good for them at the moment, unless something can happen. Zane goes down as well, so it's
We
all
both
up to Amphi
podcasts
now as a
this
solo.
week.
And
It's
they'll be
shorts for
looking
both
forward to
podcasts this
see
week.
the back of Storm Point and getting over to World's Edge at this point, because there's been nothing to celebrate for them so far in these 3 games.
And these first
couple
3
ideas
games,
for some
they're
other
always
videos
going to
as
be a little
well.
bit nervy. But at the same time, the last 3 games are going to be even worse because those totals are going to make a big difference for your chances to get to regional finals or maybe even try and secure your spot at playoffs. Now, a team who has already secured their spot at playoffs is Alliance, and a chance now for us to listen in to see what Alliance have to think about this rotation.
Getting on 2.
Putting checkpoint. We need to go for short. I'm just running.
Okay.
Yeah. We're taking high side. We're taking all the way north.
Okay. Let's go. Nobody wins on.
Listen.
Yeah,
We need to
listening.
take both these fucking buildings and then
Listen,
gatekeep the
Linda.
other side, like tunnel side. And we have
Listen.
the whole high ground for free.
Yeah. I have 1 syringe left. Just switch here. I got another one. I got 3 now. I got 3 now. Done. Let's get up. One guy was close to the opening.
I'm gonna take ultimate high ground. There's one team command against on 3.
I know I enjoy listening, so I'm gonna do my Twitch ads after listening here.
Yeah, just get to the other side. Listen, you both play that fucking building. Actually, no, you both need to play here and gatekeep to check the other side. You both need to play there, gatekeep the other side. I'm gonna play low ground and make a sip, okay?
Okay.
But we need to kill the command team that's gonna wrap us here, okay? You can rat it, maybe. You can maybe rat it. Like, sit on the headies and rat it and wait for them.
Okay.
I think that's good.
Just wait for me if I wanna scan. Go first.
You play close, and I'm gonna go for it.
Check out that area.
And we do it like that. So you can scan them early. Once you scan them, don't scan anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, the scan makes noise, so I think you guys just listen, to be honest.
Okay.
Can I come to me? What about behind us though? What if someone...
Let us explore this.
Well, you probably hear us talk about Zone 3 info, Dan, and people at home, you're probably thinking, why is that so important, right? Because, I mean, most teams in the lobby, us included, I would say, were thinking, hey, this is a Ceto zone. This looks like a Ceto zone. Well, Alliance played for that 3rd ring console. They played for the 3rd zone information, and from that, you can see that shift of the zone has gone to the north, to the south side of Checkpoint.
That's been happening
So
a lot
now
more,
Alliance
I feel
have the
like,
control
this
of all of Checkpoint, all
split.
of that height, and they can work their way in a little bit
On the
later
third
down
zone
that
where it
hill.
flips
It's
the opposite side
fascinating
where
how
it's been closing
sometimes
in.
Apex in these zones can just completely shift
Chat,
the
we're gonna go and run
momentum
that
of the game.
those
we actually
ads
saw
here
a zone
though
like
before
this
it gets
in
into some
North
really busy
America
stuff.
and Liquid Alien, where we're able to win from barometer by doing the same thing. They hit a ring console on their path, on their journey,
Also, I got a
as they
few.
approached through the mill, and then they saw that the zone was going to pull up towards Checkpoint, which allowed them to get there first and be one of these opening squads really to get into a priority position, because all these teams in Ceto, they have no idea right now. They're going to be happily chilling, saying, all right, well, this looks like a Ceto zone. I mean, why wouldn't it be? It's not going to pull any further. Once they get that info, they all have to move at the same time, and we always talk about how difficult that is to make that journey when you've got 4 or 5 other teams all doing the same thing.
Yeah, it's a tough one to kind of accept if you're one of these teams who's right now sat inside of Ceto. You're going to see that zone popping around 60 seconds time, and you're going to be like, okay, well, we're part of the traffic now that has to work their way through essentially a singular road towards where that zone is going to be, and it is going to be a singular road because essentially you can go through the spider caves, you might be able to wrap up and go through the tunnel, but the tunnel's going to be very, very congested, or you can try and kind of hit a little bit of a Hail Mary evac. And speaking of the tunnel, this is the one we're talking about, right? The 73 Esports at the moment, they're already in a scuffle trying to hold it down.
Yeah, trying their best to hold it down, but whether it's going to work out, it's players who are going to be on the other side. So big damage required if you are going to engage in this one. But you can see, without said damage, you have to back up, you have to reshield, and you have to think about how you're going to try and re-engage here to take out this team, because you don't want to both coincide. You have to win this fight if you want to hold this position.
And uses so much utility even in this fight, right? And knowing that there's a lot of teams in Ceto, and knowing that they have zone information as well. 73 Esports, they know they have to win this fight, reset, and stay healthy, because there's more than likely in a few moments' time going to be more and more teams who are pushing through. 73 Esports will hold as players will be eliminated. We see a little bit of hip fire coming through to clean up the final member. And now we turn our attention to where this end game is going to be. And
Full
the
English out,
who are in one of the great
16.
spots. Well, the Rats have just taken them out.
And if it is that same zone from North America we saw Liquid win, it does pull west and pull away from where 73 Esports are, and currently where Rats find themselves in these buildings and these surrounding areas.
Our boys
It just
from
pulls
NIP
outside
finally
of it
in
for that
past
final
top
circle. So
15. They
Epic
get
is
themselves another point.
Rats, Gaming Gladiators, all in a good position, but as our Alliance, you heard them in the listening. Alliance wanted to hold the high ground. They wanted to be above
Yeah,
everyone.
Nip's
so
up
that
at
they
2
can kind of
points. Let's
clean
go,
up
baby.
anyone arriving and then pick
Doubled
and
it
choose
up.
where they want to position themselves. They're still a 4-3, but they might be kind of contested a little bit by Blacklist International, who are also looking to try and take some high ground. But for Rats, they hold one of the better positions at the moment, and they might be able to get into the final circle with that building.
Elsewhere over at Cito Station, the information is about to be gleaned of where this zone is going, and they have got that information now, and they will know that Cito is not the place to be. 3D Max, Forbidden, Passion UA, stay healthy. Nine Lives also going to make their way towards where they believe the zone, well, where they're going to be forced to play a little bit later on. And 3D Max trying to maybe think KP at this point. Max Strafey's got himself a Kraber though, and you can see that that's good news for Passion UA, because Passion UA, who dropped over at Cito, thought they had the God spot a little bit earlier on after getting ring console as well.
So 3D Max is going to be one of the latest teams to move from this area, by the way. They've got Forbidden just to their right, Stay Healthy ahead of them, Passion UA to the left, DMS ahead of them. It might be an evac tower you have to go for here. Otherwise, you're just going to be walking into the same areas as everyone else. This is such a horrible rotation for anyone in Cito. You have to try and go over the top. Otherwise, you're going to be moving, what, west side? And then you've got a choke point you have to force yourself through as well. But none of the teams know it yet, which is what's kind of annoying. I guess you kind of should have that information by now, looking at this zone, that it is going to continue to pull north. I don't think we've ever seen a zone shift back south, so I think you have to
want to see Passion UA get back to land, and I would like to see Max Strafey like actually pop off. I know they kind of
you're being held out by teams who are maybe accepting their fate and just looking for KP now.
I think the one thing that
but I would love to see him have like a championship Sunday story, you know?
Openings is that Kraber, of course, but it's going to have to be put to work. ANC outplayed. They're trying to hold down one of these chokes at the moment, and a good spray coming in from Shex. He's going to get the first knock for them as well. In the kill feed as well, you can see that Strafey is continuing to do damage. The shield swap comes in just in time to keep ANC outplayed, all on their feet in this team fight. This is going to be a Nine Lives who are trying to push.
Remember, ANC outplayed Chat are one of the teams that needs to have a pretty decent day just to make sure that they're in for regional finals.
A disappointing one, as sometimes is the story for them when it comes to these match days. But ANC outplayed, they're doing so much.
They came in today at 21st.
But now the nades are going to start to rain in.
Bomb game to bum game, sadly, has happened far too many times. Is now ANC outplayed. Look like they might be going out early as well. Trying to go out with a bang, but the zone will do the damage as Nine Lives somehow come out of this still alive. And that's thanks to the Gaming Gladiators, who are on the other side of this rock. Will probably look to get aggressive and pick up the remainder of these pieces, which they do. And now the Gaming Gladiators will hold this entire choke, by the way, and arguably hold one of the better positions in the game, because not only can they hold out the teams that
sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do,
but they also have the building to work with. There's now DMS getting involved in a fight too.
DMS forced to fight as well, and you can see they get the first knock onto Max
Dogs
Strafey.
from Nip out early again, man.
Openings with that Kraber. Well, now he's creating nothing. The final player is going to be zipping away, and even though that thing is electrified, the damage coming in is too much, and Passion UA will be eliminated. So DMS now taking control of the south side of the zone, but Gaming Gladiators are going to be the next team they have to look to go through, unless they want to look back on Cito and think KP.
It's whether you just try and own Cito and be the final team at Cito, and then you say, all right, well, we either have to try and go over this thing or we go around it. But KP is definitely on offer here.
Alliance still pretty well separating themselves from everybody else.
They have to make that choice, and they have to make it quick. All the meanwhile, at Cito, it is going to be
otherwise it's kind of middle of the pack that's left.
And it is quite the engagement happening
here at this point in game number 3.
Falcons have had
which will at least thicken up the race a little bit for, you know,
player, not the team. Great spray coming in with the Vol, trying to work his way in and around the knockdown shields. The zone is going to be a problem for him. He's trying to slide forward and just about gets into zone. Forbidden will fall. But Falcon has got to be very, very aware of the fact that his health meds are so low. DMS now trying to force their way into that choke, into the position that GG have at the moment, but they're taking so much damage on their way forward. The fuse ult is just burning away at them.
Yeah, no chance to even try and attempt to go over anything as well now. It would be difficult anyway.
A team like Rats is trying to see if they can avoid relegation.
You have to accept your fate if you are the likes of Stay Healthy and DMS. DMS trying their best to try and force themselves through this choke, but Gaming Gladiators hold them off. DMS will go down. All the meanwhile, Alliance, who were holding this northern side, will continue to greet all of these teams that are arriving
and
from
they're
the
just
east.
still farming.
Yeah, this is a zone where everyone's just like, okay, we're trying to force.
They don't have any kills just quite yet, but they're still in a pretty decent spot. What, 2 reds and a purple. Hawkins only needs another couple shots here with the Hemlock. He's up to red as well.
Most aggressive zone pulls we've seen in quite some time.
Oh, they gotta move quite a bit
though. Of the lobby. And that's why you're seeing everybody just being cut down, trying to force their way through these 2 chokes. Essentially, they're the entry points.
I mean, honestly, if they get an entry in on that team across the way.
Information, though, they are the team who is in the best of positions to look for KP in this zone, but also don't forget about FA Kids. They've worked their way into this zone somehow or other. Now they're going to be safe as well. And you can see that Zidane had I'm pretty sure a care package weapon, the D
And they should be able to have the fuse ulti for in-game
find themselves in one of the prime positions because they also drop a barometer, as did Liquid when they won this circle in North America. So funny how these patterns do start to emerge, but we'll see whether FA Kids can actually convert from here. Gaming Gladiators still at full 3 and have taken down one member of Blacklist International. Looks like they'll be eliminated. 4 squads now remain. Gaming Gladiators looking pretty dominant on this west side.
Yeah, GG have the west side.
Nice job to hold that left side of the zone here as they're
so
sweeping in for Gaming Gladiators.
Strong spot. 2 ready
I like it.
well.
Playing wide.
Fully armored up. And
they still got to move in more. I don't know if they have a spot where they can really like.
And you can see that everybody who's in zone at the moment has either kind of arrived late or picked up a lot of KP just based upon the damage and the shields that we're seeing inside of this zone. Nobody with blues, everyone purple and reds, and all of a sudden a shield advantage isn't really a thing.
So Alliance are just on top of Rats here. Gaming Gladiators watching from the west, and then FA Kids avoiding all the sightlines at the moment on this southern side. It's whether Alliance decide to try and take this fight or not. If they can get a little bit of damage, maybe a grenade that goes in.
All right.
Or they just drop the
now they can see everything. It's time to push in here.
They're going to try and at least get a knock if they can get a knock in this situation. But the most important thing is they do not go down. Effect is going to be
oh, you talking about when the magic hands are out?
Smoke that goes down. The puck being picked, of course, by him on the Bangalore to make those smokes. Just give him a little bit of health regeneration. Gets the battery off as well. So Alliance try and force the
Alliance kind of stuck not being able to push in here.
But they also managed to retreat at just the right time to make sure they play this one out as a 3.
They play out as a 3. But elsewhere, you can see Gaming Gladiators are joining in on that fight. They are trying to add extra damage, as are FA Kids. So both Alliance and Rats are in the sightlines of the 2 other squads, which kind of makes FA Kids and Gaming Gladiators the 2 favorite teams to win here, unless they start to engage with each other, which could happen just based off the sightlines that they have on one another as well. Alliance and Rats
Alliance now kind of like stuck outside of this little,
which is going to make for a very interesting final
triple
circle
donut
here. 4
build.
squads remain, always makes it a little bit more entertaining.
They're on the other side of this door. We're gonna have to move.
Others die and then gets the victory. Instead, you really have to think about your positioning, what ultimates you have as Alliance.
I mean, the good news for Alliance is like
just on the other
they're
side
kind of vibing
There's
on
a
the standings.
Of the minds going on at this door at the moment. And look at Effect is about to say charge!
Charge!
They're just going to stand here, aren't they? They're not going to send it. This is Alliance, by the way, who have a lot of points on the board already. 4 squads remaining. They know they've got KP. They know they're already in a great position to qualify for LAN. They can have some fun.
Not the same case, though, for Rats. They're in 26th position.
The other side of it, absolutely not.
So Rats need this more than Alliance do, and that maybe is why Rats are a little bit hesitant, just kind of holding their position. They're not going to really throw away this right now, and they also have the zone on their side. They're going to try and force Alliance to do something here.
There's the CQ.
Alliance gonna back down.
Break first here. It's gonna be Alliance. They back up. But by doing this, they have taken control of this side of the building, which is the much stronger side of the building. Yep. So you can see there's only one exit point here for Rats.
Although Rats is able to get down under them now.
As well. So Alliance, it might seem like they were having a little bit of fun, but there was a little bit of calculation going down.
Yeah, at least
why they were making that decision to hold that door to
the
lock
Alliance
them
gotta get back inside.
Now that they can control here, but Unlucky has gone down, but they should be able to reset.
Hackers has also fallen. Looks like Alliance might just struggle a little bit to escape.
Oh, look, a ring of fire that was made bigger thanks to an evac tower. Who would have fucking thought?
Gaming Gladiators still in a fantastic position as well on this west
Color
side.
me surprised,
watch all this commotion happen and then join the fight as full reds, and now they see their kill feed starting to light up, and that's when they make the push.
High ground?
Yeah,
high ground. Come on, Light.
They can finish off this team. Rats eliminated in the meantime, just that solo alive, but who else is still alive on the other side of zone? That's the real question.
So it's Rats and Alliance.
It's Alliance and FA Kids who are having a little bit of a scrap. It's a 2.
How much is left on Alliance?
Remaining situation right here, and GG.
Oh yeah, Gaming Gladiators get it.
They're outputting even more, and GG will be the team who take home the final game here on Stall Point.
The Gaming Gladiators again assert their dominance that we have seen so many times throughout EMEA. Very successful fighting team, picking their fights, and when
Gaming Gladiators,
win those fights, they
baby.
usually result in a very advantageous position as well. So I'm not really surprised that once they were able to win that choke point on the southwest, that they can get into a spot then to really elevate their position.
All right, we are now officially halfway through the EMEA day,
that
chat.
West side one against Blacklist International, right? Because by doing that,
a quarter of the way through EMEA and NA. Although we'll
the
take
majority
a
of the
small
traffic
break
is in the
between the
opposite, and then it's just a case of essentially picking your spot, waiting for damage to be done because nobody else has LOS on you, and they all have LOS on each other. So a very simple game for them to convert, but it's simple once you make that big play. You make that decision to take out Blacklist International, and by doing that, they close out the game in the final moments as well. It's a little bit of a carnage-based game, that one. The zone shift obviously played into that a little bit, but seeing, what was it, 5 teams alive, zone 5 is a little bit surprising.
Yep.
Very surprising.
I mean, it's like the
when you have a zone
patience,
that
right?
shifts that heavily away from you.
And they talked about at the
you're
beginning of the
always
day how
gonna see
teams
a
are
lot
going to be
of
trying to fight
teams
for as
kinda
many
fall
placement
and
points
just
as
accept
possible.
that they are not going to be able to get into that zone. And then sadly, it's the reality of, right, we just need to go for KP here. And you get that amazing fight that happened in Sito. 3 or 4 teams all scrapping out, going for KP.
So especially when you have that many teams having to have such a long rotate, at that point, you might as well take a KP.
That ring console to be able to get the zone.
Well, here's the results from match number 3. Gaming Gladiators on top with 10 kills, 22 points in total for them, aligned with a second place finish thanks to the KP that they got to push them up to 14 points as well. By the way, one of the highlights of the ALGS so far, the effect trumpet. There's actually a better term for it. It's not actually trumpet, is it? A cornet? I don't know. Horn, whatever it is. FA Kids in 3rd place, 12 points.
I mean, I still would have just called it a trumpet,
points to
but
go
yes.
alongside the 5 Blacklist International. Again, good placement from them, but I think one thing that's kind of held them back a little bit is good placement is great, but you need a few KP to go alongside it, and they weren't able to do it this time around.
22 points is a big game though, right, Rain Day? Like, these are the kind of points that you need to be putting on the board.
Where's Blacklist sitting on the day? They're still sitting far behind, right?
Back at it as well. These are little moments, not even just those.
Yeah,
22s,
Blacklist still sitting down at
those
15.
small ones, those 14s, those 10s. That I keep noticing Alliance finding a way to get that, to me, separates a team from the rest of the pack. We saw it at LAN with Dark Zero heading into the group stages and going over to regionals. It's no matter what, they're getting some value. And that's what's creating as we look at the overall here after 3.
I mean, Blacklist, though, is already into regional finals. That's the good news. It's just they would like to try and move themselves up as close to that.
All had very
They'd like to put
strong
themselves
games
into
of
that top 8
Passion
discussion
UA.
if possible. I don't know
The
if
only
they
team that
can.
really hasn't done anything show-stopping,
At least
but
not the
has
way
had
they've started.
Probably the most consistency outside of ANC outplayed here to put themselves into 2nd place.
And that's what they need, being 7th in the overall standings, going into regional finals. If they can be consistent here today and keep that gap between themselves and 8th place, then they are going to be feeling like, all right, playoffs should be a tap-in for us here, just with a good performance here today. So even though they're not doing anything outrageous, they're not getting those big wins, they are just consistently putting those points on the board to stay at arm's length away from those chasing players, those chasing teams.
Looking at this, and I'm taking a look at some of the standings myself as well. FA Kids are sitting in 13th place. They're having a decent day today. They're in within maybe 8th overall. Aurora, teams ahead of them as well, are not playing. And so I think you look at the opportunity to set yourself up for regional finals. That does give you a good shot at LAN. That would be amazing for FA Kids. It'd be a story we'd be talking about. So keep an eye on them as we transition.
Right now, that could bump them away from that for as far as. I mean, Nip is still one of those teams, like, I would never count them out to, like, winning as.
And he's on summer vacation. Not like the rest of us, though.
Gotta turn off my alerts
because when
for
fall
stack
starts,
up.
he
Hold on,
goes
chat.
back to school. And we're talking sophomore year. We got to bring it in. It's Tryhard Thor, the 16-year-old star of Atlas, who is joining us here on our halftime recap. Tryhard Thor, thank you so much for spending time with us.
Yeah, thanks a lot for having me.
So I got to open this up because it's rare that we see someone who is younger than probably 19 having the level of success that you guys are having.
I didn't realize
the
this kid was
impact that you're having
16.
on a
That's
professional
wild.
league in esports. But 16 years old. Talk to me about what it's like. We were catching up about how you're happy you can grind Apex a little more because it's actually summer break. You don't have school. Walk me through your journey to get here into our pro league at 16 years old, what you've had to do, what your life is like being a professional so young.
Well, I mean,
I think I'm gonna go make some
easy,
soup real quick while we have this
trying to
interview
like
chat. I'm
balance
starving.
homework
I just realized I haven't eaten
and
lunch today.
grinding this game like 8 hours a day to you know stay on top of like mechanical skill wise. But yeah, I mean, somehow I've managed to do it, and I'm just super happy to be able to compete in pro league amongst like so many great players at like such a young age. And I simply hope to just learn a lot from this split and then just get even better results in the future.
It's amazing to hear you speaking so well as a 16-year-old. When I was 16, I'm pretty sure I didn't know how to tie my shoes up still. So, firstly, sound great. I want to talk to you a little bit about the success you've had, though, because it's not just the Pro League. You actually won a tournament recently as well, the Nordic Cup. Tell me about that experience and how it feels to win.
Well, I mean, that was an incredible experience. Running the first lane I ever attended to. I guess I now have 100% lane win rate. I just hope that it's definitely not like the last lane I'll ever be going to, or the last lane I'll ever win. And I just hope I can keep up that performance in the future as well. And yeah, I mean, I'm just super happy to get a result like that.
Yeah, maybe it's a sign of things to come. I'm also very jealous that your name's Thor. I wish I was named Thor. Sadly, I was named Daniel, which is a bit boring in comparison. Anyway, we're going to start talking about some of the games we've just seen, Thor, and I think that we can get your opinion on how things have gone, maybe something that you would have seen in those matches as well. We can look at the final circles. In match 1, we of course saw a very interesting kind of finish between Cenote and Mill. Anything that you noticed and how well Alliance were playing, even though they got 2nd place, for example?
Well, Alliance were able to hold so much space with the Pathfinder. It was simply just incredible watching this. Like the Pathfinder, you see Hackis there playing all the way on the other side of Unlucky and Effect, just playing the work and holding as much space as possible. It was, of course, hard to hold when ANC outplayed, catwalled out, and then just started controlling the other side of the zone, simply leaving Alliance and simply having to like drop down and fight the other team and just play for 2nd place.
Yeah, playing for 2nd sometimes is something you have to do when you see a play like that. I think Alliance maybe thought they could still win that final engagement because of their shields, but ANC outplayed, timed it absolutely perfectly after that catwall, and sadly Alliance, they do fall in 2nd place, but they did get the most amount of points, so that's a win in my books. Match 2, we went all the way to Down Beast, and it was Danish who came out on top. As a fellow Dane, was it good to see them get a victory here at Down Beast?
I mean, I simply couldn't be happier. I really couldn't. We see players in Exoclane here at the bottom though, simply just forced to fight, and Danish can just stay on top of the beast and simply just raid out the fight, and the 3rd party at the end. Case Sweeney down here is playing on Fuse, which means he's able to pressure players a lot by throwing nades and knuckle clusters, which is also a key part of why they ended up winning this fight below. As you can see, Sweeney just putting out so much damage also with the Havoc, and then Danish at the end is just able to drop down and clean everything up.
And then finally, in the last match we just had, we moved away from Cito. It was a big zone shift up towards the areas of checkpoint. How difficult are zones to read like this?
Well, I mean, I'm no ideal. I'm more of a angle kind of fragger player, but I mean, this definitely wasn't the most readable zone in the world. It was also a very chaotic in-game, as we see 4 teams here, and Gaming Gladiator is simply just cleaning up everyone on the side without simply taking too much damage or going down. Also just really playing with patience and just did a lot of discipline, and then winning the fight at the end here, just closing out the game free.
Well, it was an incredible showcase as well, and I'm talking about 2 incredible showcases, that analysis, of course, and the gameplay, because you were maybe more scintillating than Gaming Gladiators right there. I mean, it's amazing. We're all kind of in awe of it, and we're also appreciative to have this time with you. I want to, again, I think we might show you some standings. If we don't do that, I want to get your thoughts after 3, what you're seeing tendency-wise from EMEA, and what can we expect heading into these next 3 games in your eyes, Thor?
Well, I mean, honestly, I expect the Lions to just keep dominating and doing Alliance things. We saw that little emote from Effecta that's just playing with a whole lot of confidence today, already having pretty much secured the spotted lane. And yeah, I mean, I'm keeping my eyes on Danish, you know, as a Dane, I'm keeping my eyes on Danish, and I advise you to do the same. The boys are locked. They are locked.
The boys are locked. Well, they hope to qualify. You hope to qualify as well. I know people now will be maybe a little bit more tapped into your particular journey. So I want to give you a chance to shout out your stream, your content, where people can find you and follow along with Tryhard Thor.
Yeah, well, I stream on Twitch daily. So if anyone ever feels like watching some 16-year-old MEK gameplay, you're always welcome to show up.
And shout that stream out for us so we know. What's the stream?
Of course, yeah, Twitch Tryhard Thor, and then a little underscore at the end, because Tryhard Thor was taken apparently. So yeah.
We made it through, chat. We made it through.
Gotta remember the underscore. Okay, we will certainly shout that out many times as well. And good luck on the rest of this split. We got regional finals coming up as well. It seems like you guys will make it, so we wish you the best in that. And hopefully we'll see you at another LAN.
Thanks a lot. Thanks for having me.
Honestly, amazing stuff. Mark, I mean, you know, I wasn't going to make an age joke here. I was going to make an age joke, but I decided not to do it because I think it's just amazing. The truth is to see someone that young, that composed on all facets. Seems like a real star in the making there. Handles himself well on camera and in game.
Yeah, I think it's amazing to see someone talk so well, which shows a lot about their personality. And I think you can learn a lot about a player, not just through what they do on the screen, but how they act away from it as well, how they talk, how they present themselves, because you know that immediately he's going to be a decent communicator. He's going to be able to take in information. He's going to be able to learn. And I think
okay, all I had to do is eat real quick. I'm sorry, man.
To progress, and I'm really excited to see the
I'm starving.
Down the line,
like it was one of those things. Like I didn't really realize I was hungry, so I realized I was hungry.
Like you said, it's got 100% record at the moment, so it doesn't get much better than that.
Well, I love that one, man. Why don't you take a break, ponder that on a little bit of time. Actually, I think I'm sending Dan on a break here. You and I will have a chance to ponder. So, Dan, relax. Thank you for the 3 games in a row. We'll see you back. I know he was looking at me like, you better send me on a break, man. What are you doing? I am not casting one more game. So we'll head back to Mark. I mean, you know, it's true. It does bode well for signs of the future. It also means that, you know, with 9 points, I think where Danish is sitting, and then when you look at Atlas, 9 points behind, that's kind of where we see with 69 points, ultimately that
69.
What are the realistic chances of a team like Atlas making land? It's tough because you've got teams now performing well who are going to climb up. It's going to make that point total even higher. So Atlas, they're going to be hoping for a big regional finals. It seems like they'll definitely be in it. But just a great story to add to all the ones we've been tabulating alongside these first 3 games of match day 9 as we transition now into World's Edge. And it's the last chance for a lot of teams, Mark.
Yeah, it certainly is indeed. And one team I'm going to talk about when we get to the end of this
draft
draft
is
EMEA
has been equalized more by the draft than anybody. Or if I don't know if that's just because it was due to kind of have some new talent in it anyway.
Who play from there. Free agent kids are going to be playing from Stacks. Exo kind of have Lava Fissure, which is an interesting pick for me so early on as well, because I don't think Lava Fissure is one of the greatest POIs, but it is somewhere where they've had a little bit of history playing from this side of the map. So maybe their macro is going to be a little bit more in tune with that side of the map in comparison to maybe playing somewhere else. Alliance, by the way, over at Thermal Station, they are going to continue to dominate in this lobby. It's where they called home for so long. So their macro
they're going to Thermal and they're already in first place.
This is, obviously,
yeah, first place is over for the session.
On Storm Point, they had their worst pick in terms of where they were landing, and they've still been able to lead the lobby.
We'll just go ahead and put Alliance in first with 113 points on the
that things get hotter and hotter, and I'm not just talking about Thermal Station.
With a first place finish here in session number 6
Esports, they'll be at Overlook as well. A very common location if those northern zones do pull towards Epicenter or even Survey Camp to be able to rotate pretty cleanly from. As speaking of Survey Camp, DMS will be there. GG at Clima West. Passion UA, the tree, a nice southern spot that will give them some consistency and maybe make their rotations a little easier as we see the back half as well. Dan on staging, NIP on Siphon East, 73 Esports for Fragment, and ANC outplayed on Mirage A Trois. Still a story we're keeping tabs on because they are currently sitting outside of our regional finals.
Now, this could be the biggest 3 games of the split for NIP because they have barely put a point on the board so far. They are outside of the automatic qualification spots. They should be good for regional finals, but do you really want to leave it to that? Do you want to leave it to the roll of the dice? Do you want to see if you can win match point? Do you want to really put that pressure on yourself? Well, you can kind of take that out of the equation by righting the wrongs of last week on World's Edge and starting to perform here. But if anything, we're going to kind of presume from what we saw in the first 3 games, it might be a case for NIP where they're looking down that barrel. So big 3 games of the split for them as we head into match 4 now. Change of scenery here, Rain Day.
Honestly, the story's better if Nasty qualifies off a dub in the regional finals.
Individual drop ships bring their opponents down onto the ground to get started and looting up as we get to our final 3 games to decide who will head to our regional finals, who will miss the cut, and will have a chance to claim their spot, punch their ticket to Mannheim, Germany, August 29th to September 1st. Exciting stuff here along the way. And before we get into this, I did want to just mention this little tidbit that I was looking up as well, Mark. It's interesting because Atlas, they're sitting at 60 points. NIP sitting at 63. So if they stayed the way they are, essentially in terms of points compared to each other, NIP finished something where 19th or something. It would be basically Atlas being able to get first, NIP getting second, and then ultimately Atlas would jump them. So the stakes are that close to where maybe a point in a regional finals, one placement would get NIP out if they do not pick up the pace here. And so big stakes for some of our biggest names as well. I just wanted to reiterate that.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? It's like, would you rather be watching
Bro, these
right
soups
now,
are so good. I just wish they
built
built me up just a little more.
position, or would you rather be playing and knowing that pressure is
I know
on
it's not
with
going to
other
be enough
teams who
with
are
this
ahead
one.
of you or chasing you down? It's a tough one, but oh my goodness, if you're an NIP fan,
hey, let's go.
Really struggling today. Well, you don't get
In
much
nasty,
of a
we
better
trust. Big
opportunity
game
than
here in
right
game 4. Let's
now.
get it.
It's a zone where they have ring console, they have best prio to it, they have the position, they have everything you could possibly want for a big game here. It's in their hands at this point. NIP have to convert in this game number 4. If they don't, I'm worried.
I would be worried as well, too. Let's hopefully see if they give themselves a chance. Fight2 giving himself another chance over Jay Savage. And just speaking of FA Kids wanting to make it into that top 8, one of those placements, well, it's getting a little bit harder losing a player early on. As Mr. Savage goes down, players still under duress, though.
It's so good, though, man.
Jukes and Fight2
Sleeper.
on blue, trying to make their way up to purples as they rotate around. But Zidane, Kiner still alive. And when Zidane's still alive and he's got high ground, anything is possible.
Yeah, it always worries me when Zidane is alive. I don't care where he is. If he's in the lobby, it's always a worry. He's been putting up some serious numbers and playing some serious Apex over the last few match days that we have seen, and you can see how difficult it is at the moment for players to try and push. But elsewhere, you can see Forbidden there in a fight at the moment. Aku's still on his feet, but he's very weak, and 0-0 will be on the other side of this. So FA Kids have been eliminated in the meantime as well, by the way. They're going to try and stick the res here. It is ExoClan who are firing their way in here. Knuckle Cluster's going out, Arcstar's going out, and Bodies dropping as well. ExoClan will pick up their first kills of game number 4.
Come on, Case winning.
Eliminated.
One of the benefits of Lava Fisher as well is being able to rotate pretty early, either to countdown, landslider, in this case, staging, and take a fight. And this is exactly what ExoClan do. Mirage Etoile, they're dealing with, I believe, ANC Outplay.
I feel like for them, they need at least a top 2, right?
You know, and
well,
they don't
I mean,
have
they
to
still
really
have regionals
across that.
That they could,
but
like, rely on
the
for
timing of
points.
it for them and Exo is just being ready to take that fight whenever they do. They can be kind of the last person to get in there, having looted up, and obviously make a big impact like you just saw there, finishing off those kills. 73 Esports, they're on the other side of the map, Eastern, as the zone is actually
I feel like you'd rather go into
pulling that way.
regionals,
So
though,
if they win this fight, it's looking harder and harder.
already being
they could
in
have
top
a chance
8.
to make it into zone.
Yeah, they got some good initial damage, but now they've lost a player, and Bazaar has been finished as well, so no chance to think about a res. However, you can see Adam's now managed to get one himself. They're looking to finish off Adam as well to make sure that it's a 2v2 situation. It's the 2 inside of the building from 9 Lives versus the 2 outside of 73 Esports. So elsewhere, you can see the DMS are probably hearing all of this going down and going, we'll take the choke. You guys get on with the fight, we'll take the choke.
Much better spot to be. That's the issue with rotating a little late. But I do like this side, especially if you can get out of it. Ekio, not really much to do here. And just trying to make it hard for a team. Maybe Magic will
trying to hold off the roof push. 9 Lives just absolutely bullied him.
And Vipes and Thorfinn.
Give me them toes, boy.
9 Lives Esports will go from Overlook and find a way still to maintain that choke. Gaming Gladiators could be coming in behind them, but for now, a bit of a respite, and hopefully they can reset with their squad.
Yeah, it should be able to reset pretty comfortably here. If they don't have a mobile res beacon, they can either res where they are, or they can go back into Fragment and get that player back in. So knowing that they don't have great priority to this zone, they can take their time to make sure they play this as a 3, but this is the zone. This is where we are going to be seeing our end game, and you can see some of the teams already in position. You've got Danish, who we just heard being supported by Thor at home as well. He wants to see them do well when they're in a great spot themselves. Passion UA also in a fantastic
I always go back and forth
spot,
on whether you want to be on the group or not, but I feel like not.
So not only do they have info, they're going to be able to EMP and
especially
any
now
other
this
Watsons
early
who are in the vicinity, but they've got the Watsons themselves to hold things down, and they don't have to worry about their med situation either.
Great story. Max Strafey finally able to make land here in Split 1 in Los Angeles, looking to set his team up.
One of the nicest guys, by the way, I have ever met in esports. Full stop.
What a beautiful story, too. The way that he's just gone through so much adversity and still found a way onto some successful teams. And
he said full stop.
Well, they're looking to do it again. And so you just got to root for him. It's not just our commentary. It's not just meeting him in person, the fans. I mean, one of the most liked people for sure in Apex Legends Global Series. So Passion UA, always good to see them doing well. And Gaming Gladiators, we mentioned 9 Lives Esports having a reset. Hopefully they got it off, because this is the team that was coming in from the north and was going to put a little pressure on them to rotate.
Yeah, Nine Lives managed to get back up to 3, so they're just going to be retreating towards the Geyser Choke now, or actually they're going to be going through the Vault Tunnel, so...
I should have grabbed me some
The Geyser Choke is available if GG want to try and move up there themselves, but it looks like they might be able to instead hit the survey beacon to get a little lay of the land and what spots are going to be open, what teams are already in some of those predominant positions. Now, they know with 15 squads remaining and the fact that they moved all the way from the northern side of the map that this is going to be a rough game for them to get into the zone, but hitting that beacon on the way sometimes just... You might pop up, you know, and see one team is split holding some buildings, and you're like, oh, okay, maybe we can evac in, maybe we can take that spot away. So that information vital to pick up on your way forward.
Yeah, I mean, I think you look at players. If you hit a beacon and you see
where's this next zone go?
Player,
though?
I'm not sure which member that is, but isolated there.
Does
you
this
might
still
say,
end
okay,
on that outside
maybe
building
we
of
get a quick
lava
rotate and
siphon?
take a 3v1, and then we can hold this building.
Or is
against
this
a
pool
3v2.
closer
That
to
could be
where
fine. Gaming
Passion
Gladiators
and 3D
also
are?
decide to go away from the Geyser Choke, which, in my opinion, is always a blessed up moment. You don't want to do that if you don't have to, because just bad things happen in that Geyser Choke, in my experience. And of course, they'll find their way into a little small area to hold. Will it be long enough for the zone, though? We'll see. ExoClan still on the outskirts of it is Vex and Blacklist.
Thinking about it,
still the only
actually
teams
got it perfect. I finished my
alongside
soup now.
Alliance who have not made their way towards the zone whatsoever yet, Mark.
Yeah, it's Alliance can do what they want. They're just going to be going around, hitting next zone. You can see they're heading towards stacks at the moment. Imagine they're going to be playing for that next ring console, collecting any Evo harvesters they can see in front of them as well.
Settle before I go get some chips. You know what I'm saying? 'Cause I'm a mile down on some chips, dog.
Up as they possibly can to make those fights a little bit more easy for them, knowing there's going to be so many teams looking for them. Blacklist International, though, is an interesting one for me because they did win or get second place. I think it was a big Mord zone a couple of game days ago where they had to travel quite a distance. And for a team who predominantly have played a hard zone style recently, I'm always interested to see how they have to adapt to a zone which doesn't allow them to go with plan A. So keep your eyes on them at the moment. They're moving kind of across the train tracks through Monument and Fragment, and it's going to be a tough rotate for them, but I'm interested to see how they do play out.
Yeah, hoping maybe Vex choose a different path, kind of like Gaming Gladiators chose over 9 Lives, so they could try to eke in through.
Hey, I don't. Yo, actually, I should probably find
chokes,
this out.
but
Sure, it's probably on
is holding one of them.
Twitter
so
somewhere.
Still a lot of work to be done.
Oh, Jayhawk, or
Blacklist
not
International,
Jayhawk.
not able to play zone the way they want. Meanwhile, Danish sitting in, Fricks, Sherb, and Young Hong Kong holding that building right next to the bridge and firing away. And hopefully, Exo, K-Swinny, and
like a
Squad
shithead.
can find their building right there as well. What does that mean? It means Babylon's Clemmy,
Warchalk, there it
PG,
is.
and Dinze of Vex might just be able to find a little bit of an opening here and sneak in unnoticed.
Well, at the moment we jump back into the Alliance POV. The
Oh,
team
he
who
doesn't have who's on
essentially
free
point
cam.
sponge today. They have had a phenomenal first 3 games on Stormpoint, and now they're going to go up against players. And when you've had a good first 3 games, your confidence is always high. Hackett has found himself a long boy, which is always fun to see when it's in the hands of an M&K player. He's obviously got the Digiscope on it as well, which isn't going to be quite as, shall we say, traverse the distance it used to, and can't quite do what it used to, but still very, very effective for getting opening damage.
Interesting weapon, got buffed a little bit recently in this mid-season patch. Went from 2.15 headshot bonus multiplier to 2.25. Not much, but devs clearly said Longbow needs a little bit of touch. Maybe
I feel like they heard the stacks ending and at least get it something that goes down that way ish, right?
Not just making the decision Longbow over
Not
Sentinel,
all the
saying,
way down
I want
there,
a
but
fully equipped sniper
maybe it's a
and
tease.
just call it a day. And I think with the Havoc, Hemlocks, those main ARs doing so much work already for most of these fights, it's fine to take that as long as you got your long range. It means one less thing you've got to solve here and you still have pressure.
Which allows you to, of course, get that damage down without really taking any risks, just being able to pop shots from a distance. Alliance now kind of overtaking. You see they use the bang ult to overtake players who are holding down that train car, and now they're trying to chase down one player who's been completely separated, and they will take down Duke. So now it's a 2v3 in Alliance. You can see Effect. This is his favorite kind of meal.
Yee!
He's going to fly in knowing that he's only got 2 players to deal with, and he's hungry to find both.
Vex just using that Pathfinder zip line to get the pressure up on high, and it's enough, just showing face to push that team back away from Alliance. Players, though, gonna run into 9 Lives Esports as well, and so these 3 teams doing a little do-si-do back and forth. Who's gonna come out on top?
And now you got
Alliance seem
Gaming
the most
Gladiators with
comfortable as
9
of
lives,
now,
it looks
but
like,
can all
fighting.
swing on a knife's edge.
Great shots coming in from
Got
Unlucky
them
as
on
well.
this
Gets the
choke
shield
here.
crack. I'm not sure if the shield swap is there.
Or
Yes,
the
it
other
is.
side. I think that was up here, right?
Just kind of reset. If you're wondering why they threw the Seer hole down, knowing there was only 1 player alive from that original fight, it was because Rats had a little look from the bridge. They walked up onto Alliance.
All right,
to see
come
if
on,
they could
Hackers.
get a pick, but Alliance
Got the
watched their
long
back,
boy.
Get the Seer hole down and stall out that fight, and that was what I was talking about. Like with this meta in general, right? It's so difficult sometimes to third party effectively because that Seer hole just stalls out. You can't walk into it without taking a little bit of damage or giving information on your position. But GG, speaking of positions, they're looking to clear the guys aside now.
Legends that could really have an impact there. Some level of surprise. It's Revenant with the crawl. Obviously not going to show footsteps, or Valkyrie with the flight. We haven't seen in a very long time, but no footsteps.
Man, remember when we used to see Valkyrie redeploys all the fucking time, though?
Pathfinder swing.
Good times.
Could catch somebody off guard as well, at least right before they land. But
good times.
If you give Hockeys even just a second, or some of these players, they'll make the meal of it right there. Full English also showing that they can get the job done. A team I've rooted for, Serdell, Phoenix, CJ Racked. It's the split up of Phoenix and Jay Savage, a Forge gang for a long time standing. Well, now they found success on all of these different teams. Full English, though.
You can say the same thing about Dell and Nasky
today so far. They're in 18th spot. A big
right?
Because
they've been playing together for quite some time.
Let's listen in and see how they're going to play it.
Triple silence, baby.
Yeah, really.
All right, they're gonna be in front of us, but there's a spot here and the bins here that we are safe with Gen. The issue is this right
no
Gen.
No Gen, unless we have ult cells.
Okay, no cells. We need to smoke the cross here. We need to get in the bitch and fight the lights.
I was asking about Watson's earlier, though. Dell's running the Watson. I do see that.
Keeping on me for now. Just follow me, okay? Yeah. There's a guy on the right side.
He said, "Follow me to our deaths, brother."
Just hold, stabilize.
Coming to you.
It's really bad. Like, I'm pulling back here. We need to get to the tri-bins.
Yeah. I have to bat it.
Do you have a smoke for the cross?
The good news is the team that was looking at them is now looking at the team on the bridge.
Okay, and we're gonna walk up.
Yep.
Yeah,
they get a team on their back.
Smoke up and peek soon. Wait. 2 seconds on my range.
Yeah.
I'm gonna look for a scan, okay?
Give me 4 teams over here now?
I need you.
Is Alliance a duo, or is this just that bug where we don't see the third player?
Take space on the left side of me. Come. We're good for now.
Yeah, they're fighting here.
Right, give me come. Be ready to come to me.
Okay.
Come to me. We climb top 4. No.
Yeah, coming. We're delayed from you.
Just come top 4.
Rolling, rocking. See your hands, baby.
Yeah.
We're almost in. We're gonna be in on second 4. We need to take control of top 4 here.
Yeah.
Careful, there's another door. There's a team underneath us, okay? Wait, they might have left.
Yeah, they're on my side.
They left.
On my stairs. One. Dead.
I'm chilling.
Crack the cat as well. They can't push.
Oh, that's Ninjas in Pajamas. Did they get a knock on that, I think? Or no?
Forget the thirst.
Yeah.
They're gonna cross?
Bro, Ninjas in Pajamas already got themselves a knock here, bro.
Chill. We don't need to do anything.
Oh, dog.
I'm giving you a helmet. We need to.
Like, this was the zone that they needed to really at least get themselves a double-digit point game.
Keep it.
Yeah.
Really, if you get a zone like this, gets it to you at your drop spot, you really need to be popping off. They're like 15 points.
You're in on this corner, okay? You're gonna have to gem that.
Especially if you're in a position like Nip where you're trying to qualify for land. Dog out 13?
Underneath.
Bro, Nasky is down bad right now.
I killed the duo.
Yeah, I think duo's dead.
There's someone underneath our balcony underneath this part. You might be inside the main room. Doesn't matter, we're playing for second floor.
Yeah. I have 41 energy.
I can give.
I have 80.
Got 40.
I'm trying to get purple, okay?
I'm gonna gen.
I mean, I want us to have second floor. Like, just fence the side doors as well. They cannot pick the windows. They will get shot by the whole lobby.
On this roof here.
I have what? 2 beds.
Yeah.
I can you beat. I'm still
on my staircase. All 3
Cracked one. Yeah. I need help.
Oh.
One on me.
Crypto here.
Crypto one.
Nice. You can pay my knock.
Rats eliminated in 12.
Last guy here.
140.
Nice.
Nice. Blacklist International out. That should allow for them to get the reset here.
Holding door.
Yeah, they're under us.
We need to get back to our corner.
Yeah.
My shield is still active. You can see
They're in big room. Yeah, they're in big room.
We're fine.
Fuck, I fucked them.
Nice.
Nice, and they can still chill out in here. They've got themselves covered. They can pin down this door if they need to.
Massive
should
moment
know
there
about the
for
team
Full
below them, right?
English, keeping their hopes alive.
You would imagine?
And they are hopes indeed. They will have to win this game. And pretty much to make regional finals, it's looking like they'll have to win this day. A tall task for sure, but considering how many teams like Stay Healthy and Vex are in this lobby and already performing, they've got to beat them, and they've got to take some of the places away from teams like Eternal. So a lot of work to be done, Mark, but that's a good start.
Yeah, ExoClan just been eliminated as well. We can see the DMS, they're trying to move on to the bottom of this crane here to get some shots down on the teams that are on bridge. It looks like we are going to be finishing just outside of that bridge area, in and around that crane. So GG, who are down on that low ground, they're going to have to come back up at some point. But NIP eliminated, by the way, and giving up the top floor of that Siphon building is something that they'll look back on and go like, how did we let that happen? They had great prior to this zone and they didn't make anything of it. So 4 games barely with a
Bro, let Hawkins hit something
zone.
wild with the Kraber, please.
I would say they've not been too adverse to picking up points so far today. And now they've got a Kraber, 3 red Evos, great positioning in and around zone. And it's just a case of Hackis given the opportunity to hit some shots this time. And for the first time today, doesn't quite connect.
Oh, hit him. Hit him with it.
Tried a 3-2-1 with a Kraber.
Hit him with it.
Need like a 2-1, maybe just a 1 with a Kraber. That's enough there.
Just me.
Just 1. And it actually kind of helps because that first bullet allows him to dodge right.
They could be in trouble though if Gaiman Gladiators realizes that that team up by the zip line is shooting down at them. Because Alliance has nowhere to go, especially when the zone starts closing.
Take that place from them and somehow challenge Alliance. It is a tall task for them. Passion UA gonna have to make it out first because they're low ground. Have to round it out, and this is gonna be Prestis from DMS who's gonna find that kill.
They are fucked up.
Finish off Max Strafey as well. Passion UA will go out. Danish will fall, and it's still the full English who lose Phoenix in this moment, who are alive for now.
Everybody left that building and everybody
The
got
Alliance is back down. They're going to use the zip line whenever they need to close in.
To come towards them from that Siphon side. So 3D Max just going to try and swing to finish off these final players.
No, because they would have already had to come up from the low ground.
To their building
Oh,
as well.
so
one thing that's so important to do, even if you have a great spotting zone, is commanding the space in and around it. And that's exactly what 3D Max just did.
Oh yeah, they're still on low ground. They're going to take a fight with Gaiman Gladiators here.
3D Max in full English. It's the exact same story of what they'd have to do to succeed. But the biggest story here, the biggest narrative is the boss dog who says, I'm still going to be eating.
Gaiman Gladiators.
It's just point sponging everything. They go down in 4th, so someone will win. And it's Gaiman Gladiators now challenging Passion UA for a 2nd place here. Blast still alive, and he might reset with Lufka.
Yeah, such a big 1v1
Can
win
they
from
get
him.
everybody
Just
up?
has to reload the gun behind the knockdown, then hits the hip fire and manages to clutch up for his team to keep GG
I didn't
alive.
see, was
and
the third,
nobody else
like,
in the
out?
vicinity is close enough to
I think
third
it was,
party
right?
them, so it should be a full reset by the looks of things for them. 3D Max, one of the best spots in zone at the moment. The only problem for them is that I don't know if the gen is available quite now, but should be by the time that
Do
that
they have
zone starts
a?
to
Do they
close.
have
So they
a
can make that a little
like
bit of
a
perimeter around those boxes.
Moby?
DMS though, they want to try and take that
There's
score
still time
away.
if you get a Moby, right?
DMS absolutely
nah, because it'd be hard to call it in.
Taskmaster is skipping out from joining his former teammates on Aurora yet again. I've heard calls to get him back, but right now he's saying, no, I'm doing okay with this squad here. We're going to have something to prove. We're going to make it happen as well. 3D Max just wanting to say with the Havoc. It's a nice spot, 3v3v3. 3D Max have isolation on this side of the map. DMS, Gaiman Gladiators closest to each other. So we don't know how this is going to play out, but certainly you'd say 3D Max with the Watson fence pylon have a chance at winning this.
GG have got to make their way out from the high ground, right? So you would imagine that 3D Max will be in the best position to win this game, knowing that both teams are in front of them. The question is, what did GG do here? It's kind of an
So that's going to be Gaiman Gladiators?
try and shoot this out, I would imagine, but instead they're going to hit the bang ult, which means it's going to be much more difficult. They can't afford to shoot that out because they're going to have to try and stay healthy themselves. So they're going to give that up. Also, you're going to see not just the evac tower being used as a way to get back up, but also for the mortar flare to spread it out, to use the wall hacks that become available.
Damn.
And DMS now being taken apart systematically by GG, who are down on that low ground.
Gaiman Gladiators, are they actually going to be able to push up out of this thing together? Because 3D is a 2-0.
As well as Kizaron, who are alive to try to finish it off. It should be Gaiman Gladiators able to come in and swing this one.
You would imagine so, right? GG from the low ground make a huge play. DMS have one still alive. GG down to a 2. And 3D
The
Max
tick
also
away.
down to a 2.
The knuckle
So this is not
clusters.
one team with a number superiority situation, but it looks like
Wow.
the job will be done for them. GG will walk in
Imagine
from the
Alliance
low
wins
ground
that fight
to
and
high.
they win game number
And they
4.
will take the game here on World's Edge. It was a masterful display of decision making
Imagine.
to get in that position to even compete to win that game.
And I think what they did that was so impressive to me was just the combo of the evac and risking that Bangalore ultimate just to buy them time. Say, you cannot afford to shoot this away. This is truly our only opportunity to win the game, and they played it perfectly. I think they followed up with a fuse ult quite quickly too. That mother load just took out a little bit of DMS, and it made it so difficult for them to actually push. The chaos led to a big win from Gaiman Gladiators. Shout outs to them. Great org. Love the representation. Love how they got that W as well. And Mark just played that final circle perfectly.
Yeah, very difficult. Even though they're down on the low ground there, GG, if you're the team who's up on the high ground there, DMS, the fact that you get forced away by the bang ult, and then you know with the evac tower going up and the the Motherload being shot by the fuse as well. I was like, there's basically nowhere to be safe. So you kind of get separated, you get split, everyone's trying to find their own safe spot to play. And you know that 3D Max also have some LOS onto you. So they're just kind of scattered just by abilities. They threw everything in there, GG, and it worked out so well for them to be able to take that evac just to get to height. Because I mean,
I'm a thick boy.
If DMS in that situation like decide, hey, we're just going to try and eat this bang ult, we're going to try and shoot the evac down, then 3D Max just walk in and win that game. So GG forced them at their hand a little bit there, and it's just great knowledge, great game knowledge, great game awareness and situation kind of awareness on what they had to do to even get into a position to win that game.
I actually agree with you that they forced, it's pretty similar to Danish. I think we saw that zone in game 2 where just the positioning of how they played that, it forced ExoClan to make a decision that was not it was in their best interests, but it was obviously also in Danish's best interest. GG forced DMS to run away, but in this case specifically, I think DMS should have maybe ate it, because how is GG getting up without that evac? I don't think they can actually get into zone, and so you might have almost secured a second there. But again, DMS probably want that one back. They'll say, we did in 19 points, that's okay. And that's really the difference in terms of point totals. Those 3 kills at the end. Gaming Gladiators will take the win. 3D Max, 3rd place in terms of position, but not in terms of overall points. Stay Healthy will inch them out, as well as the Full English, who had a pretty good game. Alliance also rounding out that top 5.
Yeah, Passion UA, they were one of the teams that left very, very late. Didn't manage to get any KP, even though they got a few placement points. Down at the other side, though, I'm going to highlight them again. NIP, I mean, you're leaving it arguably too late at this point. It's looking not good for them whatsoever. Just the 3 points from a zone where they had Prio, they had Ring Console, they knew where it was going. Not good enough if you want to qualify for that Split 2 playoffs. So a lot of work for them to do. Of course, they do have the regional finals in front of them, but it's going to be some more hard work for them to do. Look at the comparison, though, Rain, between our first and second place teams, and you're quite right. There wasn't much between the two.
No, DMS, fantastic showcase. Got a lot of kills, not a lot of assists, so maybe some individual play happening as well. Sometimes that's the magic that makes things happen in a game like this, but a ton of damage. Clearly held a very strong position up until the very end, and that's going to result in the second place so far for Gaming Gladiators. Alliance holding on with 2 more games left. That's not as comfortable of a lead to secure it. DMS moving in right behind them. Passion UA and ANC outplayed. Big difference, though, is that just 8 points separate 9th through 4th place. And at this day and age, that is the difference between making regional finals or not for some of these teams.
Moving on up. We're talking about how big it is for Rads to have a decent game too, or a decent series today too.
It's going to be the last 2 games
earlier
for some of these teams.
As far as them trying to get out of that relegation mark,
they won't be qualifying for the regional
well on the way for
finals. They won't be making it to land. So strap in, everybody. This is going to be a crazy couple of games.
While we get you ready for game 5 and 6, remember what this is all leading to is that special time in Mannheim, Germany. If you're thinking about joining us, I would consider it very heavily. Let's go give you a sneak peek on what to expect.
I mean, are we expecting anybody but Falcons to walk away from Mannheim as champs? It feels like Split 2 is meant to be for them, right? And then champs is where things opens up.
Beaver is the official controller partner of the Apex Legends Global Series.
Or is it just me that thinks that?
Welcome back, everybody, to the ALGS, and it is officially crunch time now, because we have 2 games to go here. Dan, welcome back, by the way. I hope you enjoyed your break, and you've beautifully reframed yourself as well in the...
why I'm just so massive?
You were so tall. What happened there?
Just here.
Just go back.
That's off my mark. This is my... I set a mark for a reason, Mark. I've said mark.
It's crunch time, Dan. Dan, it's crunch time, and
he always looks so nervous, doesn't he, Chad?
Crunch time. Anyway, everybody, welcome back, Dan. It's great to have you back. 2 more games to go,
which is weird because he's like the fucking man.
It's turning out to be a very, very interesting match day for some of our, I would say, more established teams for different reasons. Some of them looking great. Alliance looking fantastic. NIP barely had a point on the board, and then you've got that chasing pack as well, who's just it's so close at the moment. Like anything can change in these last 2 games. And that's kind of been the story of EMEA, right? All split along. It feels like everything is coming down to that last game, and everything is coming down to who can put the points on the board when it matters the most.
It's a different story for all of those teams you've just mentioned as well, trying to chase something a little bit different, whether it's trying to be in a good position to get yourself towards playoffs, secure playoffs, dominate and be at the top, or whether it's getting into one of those remaining 4 regional final
Zone
positions.
algorithm did not change, LOL,
16
from
teams guaranteed,
Native Rambo.
and now
True
those
though.
who are trying to make it in just need to have that one big game, right? That one opportunity to put yourself in that conversation of regional finals as well. You don't want to be going into match 6 having to rely on a victory, but I'm sure we will get there. There are going to be some teams who are going to need a victory. I mean, the team that's already performed well today, who were chasing that top 20, we have to talk about Outplayed. ANC Outplayed have been brilliant today with an early win and also putting themselves in the spot for maybe being able to get into the top 20. So we'll have to see whether they can carry that on, because they started the split.
I think what's crazy is where Nip's at
points
now.
on the board, and then ever since that, they have been at the bottom of the leaderboard time and time again.
I don't
But
even
all
know
they need is one more day where they find themselves
if
in
they
the top
bounce
5
back
and
and
they
even
should be able to
get
be in
like
regional finals.
top. Like, let's say they bounce back, have 2 strong games in top in game 5 and 6.
Streaming platform for the ALGS, you can choose some
I still don't know if
nice
they're going to be in a good enough position where they can rely on anything but a dub at regional finals now.
Watch ALGS if you want to watch that, and of course bring up the map overhead as well, which is very important, I will say. Very, very important for not just us,
Like,
but
they
for you
were
as
already
well to
kind of
understand
needing a
how
pretty
your
big day
favorite
today.
teams are rotating and who they're about to run into.
Very excited to see who really kind of takes this game, like just grasps it as well. Like, take the risks. I think that we've seen far too many teams just being afraid to make a play, to make a push, and whether that be because maybe they don't feel confident in their team fighting or not, but if you don't take that risk, and
I think
take
if you're
that
Exo
moment here
Clan, you
today,
got to have your
then
sights
you
set
might
on
just
top
be
3
looking to rue it, because you won't be in regional finals.
with where you're
you
at
won't be
right
in
now.
playoffs, and you'll just be left kicking yourself a little bit.
The only problem is Passion is one of the teams you're trying to pass up isn't going to be able to
put your
be
big boy pants on and say, actually, I believe
far
in our
behind
team, and I
you.
do believe that we have what it takes to still push ourselves into regional finals.
I mean, it's an interesting moment for a lot of these teams. Like we mentioned, there's so many different things to play for at the moment in this final match day before we head to regional finals, right?
Davis is intense.
Who's going to be at
Because
the
you
top
what?
of the leaderboards? Who's going to be in the top
9
8,
points?
those
Is that right?
qualification spots heading into
8 points?
the regional finals? Who's going to be within touching distance of those LAN qualification spots? And then, of course, who is going to make it to the regional finals? Those top 20 teams who might just go on that fairy tale run.
Regardless,
and
the
win
difference between
match
Exo
point
Clan
when we do
and
get
Danish
there.
right
But
now
for
with
now,
Exo
it's
Clan and
GG
6
who have just
isn't
gone
going to be enough.
back
They
to
need to be able to
back.
pop off these next
One
2
win
games.
on Storm Point, 1 win on World's Edge to set them up for a fantastic little late game run.
Yeah, we talk about, Alliance trying to be at the top at the end of everything here with EMEA. Gaming Gladiators are going to be within a shout of that as well. They're only 6 points behind Alliance in the overall standings, and with 2 back-to-back victories, they put themselves really up there alongside Alliance here today, and we've still got 2 more games to try and find out who can be top going into said regional finals.
Yeah, I'm going to need y'all
I will
not
say the
judge me
points
by
that
the
have been
amount of shit
secured
I eat
so
over the
far
course
for
of the next
Gaming
game. Deal?
Gladiators will mean they're going to playoffs. When we looked right at the start of the show today, we talked about that magic number being around 82
Your boy's
points,
hungry.
and GG would just push themselves over it to secure playoffs. They could have probably
Cheat day or
finished
something, I don't know.
19th and still achieved that.
It's
But
chips.
the fact
How
that
back
they go
and
out and do that by being in the top 2 right now just shows what a dominant force GG are.
Yeah, so not forget as well, it's like something we barely mention when we're talking about Pro League, right? When we're talking about the split, it's like the better you place, the more prize money you're going to get. So a few more dollars going into the back pockets, or whatever currency, local currency it is for you. So
By the way, the Baja Fiery Mango Doritos
down,
that are currently at Sam's Clubs,
just outside, I should say,
Fuego.
towards Stacks potentially.
I've seen people saying they're crap.
Could
I love them.
be a Stacks finish. Could also finish just outside Dome as well.
Did you like the question mark?
Yeah.
Because it's an interesting one, right?
Stacks possibly. It's what everyone's going to be saying. That I think a lot of IGLs are going to be kind of scratching their heads a little bit, saying, do we... I mean, if you're in the southeast of the region, you are going to commit to an early position here. NIP, Rats, FA Kids, players, you're all going to find yourselves going somewhere. But for those who are
another
arriving
one
a little
for
bit later,
Nip,
you might say,
where it's like,
do
bro,
we actually take a ring console here instead and see if we see
you got a
any
decent
sort of
zone
shift towards like the lava around launch site? Or
Hey, do we
shift
actually get a
little
Stacks
bit to
finish like
when
we were talking
NIP
about
find
earlier?
themselves? But I wouldn't be
Inject
surprised
that
if
shit
we
in the
end
veins,
just south
baby.
of Stacks, that building that is furthest south of Stacks. We've seen it finish there a few times, so FA Kids arguably are going to have priority to that position.
I was gonna say it's interesting, right? Because players at Big More, they get ring console. FA Kids got ring console. Rats, you can see they have ring console over at launch site where they drop. They've already gone over to Dome, by the way. NIP did not have a ring console, but the read of the zone looks pretty darn good coming in from Naski. and co. So we'll have to see if they can play that. They're going to be playing the Vault Tunnel for quite some time. Elsewhere, we can see a little bit of a scuffle happening in and around the outsides of the respawn village at the moment. The truck, where we see some end games taking place, is this time being the subject of a little bit earlier fighting.
I don't know if NIP have got the read, by the way. I think they might have just gone to the vault to loot, and they might get lucky if they play for a ring console in stacks. I don't know. It's tough to say. If you look at that zone, I guess you could predict a southeast move, and maybe I'm underestimating the importance of a read from Nasky. So we'll have to see how they move a little bit later, but it might work out for them.
See if they can pick up on anybody rotating down that way or something.
Anyway. For other teams who have to move,
I don't know why they'd go in there if they weren't expecting a south.
Side, it's going to be a bit
east
more
zone,
of a
though.
Treacherous journey. 9 lives at Overlook.
Like not as a 3-0
down
anyways,
through
you know
the
what I mean?
south, through Geyser, then through Big Mord. That's two kind of checkpoints you have to go through, 2 chokeholds that you have to go through. So it shouldn't really be enjoyable for them, but there is always that opportunity that you can take fights, you win fights, you get better armor, and then you're going to be in a more advantageous position a little bit later on.
One team who's not in an advantageous position right now is going to be DMS. You just saw 1 knock coming in. However, on the other side of that, you can see Forbidden also took a little bit of damage. It's 3D Max, I think, who are behind them doing a little bit more damage. So 0-0 has nothing. No health whatsoever as he is going to be knocked. And 3D Max just sandwiching these two teams together. And they are the delicious.
I wish there's a way they could put on like
bread
the
on one
overlay.
side.
I guess it doesn't really matter because it's like last day of like the session's not against regional
They
finals.
are around 16 points.
But still, even for regional finals, it'd be cool if they could put like a way there, like they put where they're at in the standings going into the day.
If they were to finish 9th, they would get 11 points. That wouldn't really be enough to get them. So we need to see them push themselves further into that like top 5.
Like you probably have to do it in the white portion of the box.
They're going to be qualifying for regional. So still stuff.
Maybe in parentheses or something like right here.
Well, Full English had a pretty good previous game when it came to KP. Maybe not the end game they would have wanted, but did a good job clearing out Cypher. Now they're going to be flying in as well. And here goes CJ, and that is a beautiful spray coming in from him. So Dale's going to move in and should be able to hit the res as well, as they'll have a little bit of cover from not only the boxes that are in and around them, those crates, but also because they've got Phanex up on the height as well, just denying any team from pushing without putting some damage out himself. So
I feel like there's something easy enough to do.
Full English here outside of launch site. Alliance having a little look at this though. They want to push through the chokes just on the other side from Tree as we jump into the POV of Hackis, who has been a pleasure to watch today.
He really has, and it looks like it's going to be more of the same as Danish do get eliminated.
It doesn't have to like update through the day. You know what I mean?
This lobby, as we maybe even start to look at potential for highest points earned in a series this split with the way they're going. But we'll go into those numbers if they start to close in on them. Rats also get eliminated.
Ends up being a lot of numbers on screen though, so I get that.
Well, Light takes a little bit of damage through the fire and the flames. But he will carry on as Lufka now throws a couple of arc stars out as well, trying to deny that team moving up to take that second floor away from them. Blacklist International are the team who are down on the other side of this, and these two teams have been pretty close in the leaderboards for the last 2 game days that we have seen. But GG, I mean, what a performance it's been from them today, Dan. 2 back-to-back wins, and it was always more impressive for me when you see it 1 on Stormpoint, 1 on World's Edge, because it shows that everybody is working so well together.
Yeah, shows the consistency across both maps and also shows what a threat you are getting into regional finals and even international competition when match point comes into play, because those wins are going to be absolutely
They've got like almost 12,000 damage so far too.
But at the moment they're going to be on the northern side, and we will check back in with them later. Now, a team who hasn't had much success today, NIP. They are one of the squads that are in the qualification area of top 8
they're like
playoffs,
11
and as you mentioned, still have regional finals to get points on the board, but they will be chasing teams going into regional finals if they do not find some sort of points going into these last 2 games here.
Well, they did manage to get 1 knock, and they've managed to take a really, really strong position deep towards Dome here. So a little bit of confidence for them, at least just being able to force a position, even though it's not a clean team wipe, it's enough to keep them all alive and take a really good spot away. There's a crypto drone up in the air as well. That usually means that Passion UA are within the vicinity, and yes, indeed, they are inside of zone.
Do we only have one crypto team?
Inside of zone, so it was right as well, which is usually a good indicator of where they're going to be. So ANC outplayed. You can see they're just playing outside the vault tunnel right now. Passion UA inside a dome. NIP playing the truck outside of it. Players in stacks and Stay Healthy now working their way as the next team to arrive in zone through that vault tunnel.
So if it is the zone that finishes just outside the building on the south, FA Kids could be in a good position. Players could get stuck by being on the northern side as well. They're kind of central of stacks. If you commit to that
give us
building,
a stacks
and that team
ending.
gets into the building just south of you, which actually looks like players have been able to stop FA Kids from doing, it could be a little bit of an annoying situation. But players at the moment still holding not just 1 but 2 buildings, and I kind of like it. spreading yourselves out, making sure no one can take one of those buildings off of you, but we'll have to see how that plays out a little bit later. As Outplayed, one of the teams I was talking about, desperate to try and qualify for regional finals. They're in a fight here.
Yeah, they're trying to swing as well, and that's a great swing. You can see Shex is going to be able to take down one, they'll take down two, and that's FA Kids who have been so dangerous in those team fights. Well, ANC Outplayed showed that they've got a little bit of danger about them as well as they pick up the clean wipe from that height that they were holding for so long. So a really, really good team fight for them, and I love the fact that they were aggressive after they got that.
Yeah, I feel like if ANC Outplay has a decent game here, they only need
a lot of the time, if you allow them to survive, they'll come back and bite you in the backside.
like a top 12, I think. Qualifying,
Surprising
right?
amount of commotion happening in Harvester at the moment, but that's everyone trying to move down. It's kind of one of those central areas of the map where everyone moves through, maybe tries to hit the survey beacon on the way, and then carries on their journey. But it looks like Vex are going to leave and retreat this fight, and for good reason.
Well, that's also depending on how some of the other teams around them. Like, I don't think players doing that
Vex
well
are
today,
very
right?
close to qualifying for regional finals. They came into this being in 18th position, 49 points, and even though they've not had the best of days yet, as long as they can just find something in these last two games, they should be one of those teams that finds themselves in regional finals in that top 20.
Speaking of survey beacons, Calamitous is having a good think about hitting it. Maybe he's going to wait for the zone to get a little bit closer before he does. And elsewhere, you can see DMS now making their way from the eggshell, the broken eggshell, in towards one of the buildings of stacks. Now, they have zone information. They know where it's going to go. They hit their next beacon. And the height of this far building might be the best, I would say, best worst case scenario for them, knowing that they can't get in towards Dome at the moment. But being able to hold out all the other teams from stacks by having this height, having this building, which is on the southern side of it, will pretty much guarantee them, if they play it well, some KP a little bit later on in the game. GG over at Maud for now, so they've got a really tough rotate to make as well, through stacks and towards the zone too.
GG do have the option of going all the way east if they'd like, around the kind of mountain area, the little eggshell to work with, and then they can potentially find themselves in a building on the eastern side of stacks as well. So it looks like that's what they're going to try and attempt here. But then if the zone does continue to shift south, you're then going through building after building, trying to defeat team after team. But if anyone can do it, it would be the Gaming Gladiators, because they've been fighting so successfully here today.
I still think it's going to pull more towards stacks, personally.
A little bit of calm inside of the zone at the moment. Just a couple of shots being exchanged outside of the zone at the moment, just trying to see what teams are close to each other. It looks like everyone is kind of chilling, to be honest with you. Alliance and Vex might have a little look at each other just outside of launch site on the northern side of that. Forbidden within the vicinity of that fight as well. So
I don't think it's quite going to be Dome.
Clan having a back up for now. As you can see, Feuded takes a little bit of damage.
Remember, third ring is where it's been changing.
Kind of outlay of what I was talking about there. Clan only on blues at the moment and approaching this late. Not being able to get up to purples for now. You can see the Slayer still needs 450 damage himself to get up to purple. Means they've got a little bit of work and damage to output before they can really have a good run at this zone. But they will be safe for the next zone, so they don't have to do too much for now.
6th position in the moment for ExoClan. Again, I think that's a good amount of points considering the teams around them, like NIP, for example, have not found points today. So they would leapfrog them and make NIP having to chase them, but they're also in competition with Danish, who have been able to find points, but they do find themselves a little bit further than them as well. So for EXO, at the moment, they would be favorites to take that 8th position when we get to the playoff positions at regional finals. But of course, during regional finals, there are still a lot of points to be had. Now, Vex, they have a lot to do as well when you talk about getting to regional finals. They currently find themselves on 9 points. They are in 18th position, not just in today's match day, but in overall standings. Let's see how they do with this listener.
Back, one of you.
I'm shooting them.
You can
shot
just
the first guy.
them. Yeah.
He's below.
Crack.
Crack.
That's in zone. We can play these, I think. Bug the fucking...
Yeah, I just realized we have not done ads.
Later.
I don't want to lose ads in the last circle, so we're going to have to run real quick. Sorry, I love you.
Yeah.
One team landing at us. Okay, back.
Yeah. I have no ult. I am ulting now. 40. Look at the bang. 60.
One dead. He's a duo.
Okay.
Behind.
I don't see them.
We go for the position.
Another team here.
Okay, go for leave the value. Go for position.
I finish the kill.
Fuck the kill.
We are good on me.
Okay.
This guy's on the left. Right, yeah, we need to kill left, I think.
Yeah,
we need to kill left.
He fighting on left.
Yeah, I'm looking.
He like almost sounds like Case 20. That's crazy.
Be careful.
Oh, open. Look, steer. One.
There's one on the left.
Yeah. I'm leading. Can we slide on them after the salt?
Okay, yeah.
Okay, no.
Go.
Oh.
Team behind us.
Oh no, they are fucked.
Kill him.
I can't. He's fucked.
Wow.
Well, back in the game and back into the action. As you can see, the Vexer will fall. The Wrap came in behind them, which caused them all sorts of
Alliance
problems.
just sat back behind and shoot buddy steals.
Alliance have been eliminated in the meantime.
Let the third party
so
come
no
in.
bomb game for
We'll take an
them.
extra point,
Whereas the
thanks.
Full English again, Dan, arriving a little bit later than we've seen them previously do in some previous game days, and it's given them some success here. That's difficult to say.
And it is a lot to do for the Full English as well. Exactly the same position as 3D Max that I spoke of earlier. They find themselves in 24th position. They are quite a way off, about 15, 16 points away from top 20 at the moment. So they need to be finding themselves within the top 4, the top 5 at the end of today. And being in 12th right now, a victory here could change everything for them. But whether they're able to achieve that will remain to be seen, as all the other teams are going to start to make their way around them, and the Full English have to go through them. Outplayed in their way, forbidden in their way. This isn't exactly an easy journey for them right now.
It certainly isn't. You can see it every time they take a step forward, just traces from bullets flying in from Dome and the rock formations outside of it. So Full English have to kind of brute force this at the moment, trying to get to a position where they can deny as many lines of sight as they can. Phoenix is burning in the lava. He's down to 1 HP as well, but will survive for now. 3D
I don't know if
Max
they make that trick in.
trying to see if they can clip maybe his heels as he moves forward, but this is just treacherous. You can see the zone is forcing them forward. Full English going to have to burn this generator as well to eat up some nades, give them a little bit more shielding as well, but they're going to be forced to fight in a few moments time.
Phoenix on a slither of HP, but thankfully does have all of the shields and will start to get aggressive. Now needs a bit of assistance here, but doesn't quite get it off the start. Now here comes the assistance, but is it too late? No. Outplayed, eliminated. Full English will survive, but they are just going to have to do this as a 2 here. Phoenix will go down to the ring and will not be able to get picked back up right now.
Well, 3D Max should be able to look down, but I've got to say, that's an incredible job.
So Nip pushing in on 3D Max here.
Anywhere near safe. Even if one of them was able to survive, that would have been good. But here come NIP.
All right, Nip.
Moving it in onto 9 lives, but
Oh.
Alfie now, he's left on his own. I thought there was so much damage that surely it was going to be a comfortable win
they're
for
in
them.
trouble.
Now Full English are going to move in. They're
Well,
going to take out NIP.
Full English really trying to give themselves the best chance of getting into regional finals next weekend.
Till
But
next time,
NIP,
chat,
they get
for
eliminated. How much
Ninjas in
could that
Pajamas.
hurt their chances of getting to playoffs once we get to those regional
Looks like they're
finals?
gonna have to
As
rely on a
dropship
regional
is
finals
in the
win
air,
now at this point.
And we are seeing a respawn happening as well. Stay healthy. Are going to be healthy. Back up to a full 3. Blacklist International.
Like, even if they drop a
maybe
nuke
gonna
next
hold them
game,
out, though. Now,
I don't
look at
think
all
they
these
have enough
buildings that are
where
currently being held. 9 Lives are the only team who
they'll
has
have
a
like a
building that is really kind of
salvageable
desirable
series.
at the moment. Both ExoClan and Gaming Gladiators, their building might just fall out of it when we get to that final circle, but certainly those are the 3 teams to look at. ExoClan, Gaming Gladiators, 9 Lives, and actually DMS, who have just been able to force their way in as well.
Yeah, it's interesting. You got players ExoClan and Blacklist International now all stacked up inside of that construction building. GG, I would say, in the best spot at the moment, because everybody else has got a partner at least inside of their building when it comes to teams. Full English might have a really good look at this as well, because they'll be able to wait extremely, I would say, an extreme amount of time in comparison to everyone else.
I would say they get to kind of walk in while everyone's trying to vie for spots in the building.
Contact with another team, so they can kind of wait here, just work their way towards this zone, and as everybody leaves, they could be in a great position to win this game.
Well, most importantly, Full English back up to a full 3 as well, and boy do they need this victory if they want to get to regional finals. It's just whether they can go unnoticed on that southern side. One thing I will say is all these teams in this construction building and Gaming Gladiators might have to
Full
move
English is
before
another
9
team that is
Lives
sitting on the
and
outside
DMS
looking
when
in,
the final
so
circle comes into it. But this is where legend composition is going to be massive for you. What have you got in terms of cover? What have you got in terms of utility? Have you saved
when we're talking about
stacked
not
finishes are always
land, but
very
when we're talking about just for
grenade
qualifying for
heavy. And if you don't
regionals,
have
which is
anything
next
to
weekend.
either A, stop those grenades or throw them yourself, then you might find yourself in a tough spot.
You're going to be looking at the fuses as well, right? Being able to stack those nades is going to be really, really important. You can see the full English are taking a little bit of damage themselves, and Knock has come in. They're also being fused queued to oblivion. The knuckle cluster is a problem for them, but they have the cover of that loop hill, or do they? It's the knuckle cluster that finishes them. And now CJ has to pop a battery.
Look at those nades.
Flying in. They
My
are desperate to
goodness.
finish them off. They know that they're a threat here, GG.
Well, I said it's
Look,
nade heavy,
everyone is
you need
hucking
something to
shit
stop
their
it.
way.
Well,
Oh,
at the
that's
moment,
so
Full English
unfortunate,
have
bro.
nothing to stop the nades that are all arriving. I hoped that they could go unseen on this southern side. However, they have been noticed, and look at the lack of cover. When this zone pulls in now, Full English are going to be one of the first that have to actually move. There is still the chance that as the zone comes in, everyone kind of turns their attention to other teams, but they are going to try.
You would have
and get
raged
back
so
up to a
fucking hard
4-3
about
again.
you, bro. I'd be hot right now.
Now, Fuse, you can see what an impact he has on these lobbies.
Are they going to be able to get a res?
Not only is he
How you
going
been,
to be the
Biggie?
knuckle clusters, the ability to carry more grenades, but also when you see the evacs go down and you see the mother load going down, it's going to mean extreme wall hacks for a lot of teams. And poor old Full English at the moment, every single Fuse in the lobby is looking at them.
Bro, chilling, man.
But now it's absolutely hell on the
Trying to get back into the swing of things now that
interesting on the northern side as well. All these teams on the construction building and
casting is kind of slowed down for the summer.
Already
Officially,
lost one, but should be able to get the revive. Will get the revive, and we still have 8 squads left in this circle. This kill feed's about to blow up.
it's crazy to think we were just talking about how they could have the advantage of walking in while everyone was vying for position in that building, and instead everyone turned their attention towards them.
Down in front of them as well, and all of a sudden Full English, they're starting to give a little bit back. They were saying, we remember how this went, but unfortunately, it's not going to be good enough for them. Full English eliminated, and GG will get ahead of the traffic. Will hold this side of zone, but light is down, and they're going to have to hold off a push.
All the meanwhile, players have dived straight center zone to try and hold a position, but it's going to be very difficult to do so. Everyone's going to be around them. A lot of smokes to try and give yourself cover. No Bloodhound to
Where
save
was
you
XO
now
at?
these days, as Gaming Gladiators down to just 1. Blasto doing his job, eliminating Blacklist International. 5 squads now remain.
XO's who he's looking at there, right?
Well, so Gaming Gladiators is just a blast, but he's on the side of zone where nobody else is, and he might be able to punch a teammate back into a position to
Bro, is he gonna reset here? Shut up.
Slayer's still alive here for ExoClan as well, playing behind.
Bro, does Gaming Gladiator? No.
Have just been eliminated in the meantime. It's 4 squads now remaining, and Blast tries to turn his attention towards where ExoClan were. Stay Healthy will be eliminated in the meantime, and now
They at least got the full kill.
Still
though, do they still win this from the low ground? No, no, it's too many. Still though, for them to get where they got on that,
made the early move right to dead center of the circle, used the cover,
especially with EXO trying to move their way up as far as they can in the scoreboard.
This should be a comfortable one as long as we
The only problem is Gaming Gladiators lasted a long time.
The smokes went down, but they picked their fight successfully, and
So
now
like,
players will find
they
themselves
should
with
still
a
continue to build their
fantastic
gap.
victory,
I
and
think
they can put
Alliance
themselves
went
in a
out pretty
really good
early,
spot
right?
as well to try and get all the way into those regional finals.
Yeah, another great game from GG though. Good KP, good position for them, good placement in the overalls as well.
Biggie, what you been gaming on lately, big dog?
Top for Alliance even tighter than it was previously. So all to play for at the top of the table going into our final game, as well as of course the qualification spots for the regional finals. But I mean, what an end game that was, right? So many.
I mean,
I would say ultimates being saved
honestly,
that
lately,
final
mostly
moment.
just
You saw
Rocket League,
battles, you saw
trying to be
mother
not
loads going
bummed at
down
it.
from the fuse. It was
It's the only thing I can play for like an hour and get a good amount
not
of
a
games
lot
in.
teams really had a clear sight onto another.
Overwatch, you know,
With the smokes
it's
going
like
down as well.
4 or
It's kinda
5
like,
games.
we got to try and play tight here. Wait to poke and see if we can see anyone that's going to give us an opportunity to get a knock.
I think what was frustrating for Gaming Gladiators was the fact they couldn't knock out
Terrace
Full
Land.
English
Which
as
one
well
is
with
that?
all those grenades.
Gaming Gladiators
If they
took
had been able
over
to take down Full
Alliance.
English, it could have been a very different game for Gaming Gladiators.
Damn.
They skirt around, they take that side, and then they would have been able to have the zone to their back and be far healthier to take the fights. But instead, they lost that one player against Full English, and then in the end, players were just able to kind of clean up the pieces of themselves and EXO. But for players, they were in 21st position coming into today, so they are chasing
I was
that
gonna say,
regional
Biggie,
final
is
spot.
there
and
ever a time where you're
victory
not
there,
playing
we
WoW?
might just
I
see
feel
them
like
in
that's
the
kind of been
regional
your one
finals next week.
consistent, yeah?
Hey, there could be a little bit of magic for players. There was certainly some magic in that previous game from them as they put 10 kills on the board alongside the 12 placements to give them 22 points.
Like of your titles?
GG just behind them as well. Big KP for them. 7 alongside their placement points. 16 will be their final total in game number 5. ExoClan with 11. Elsewhere, you can see Blacklist International. I was interested to see how they would get to that zone and how they would play it. Well, they get 9 KP on their way towards some decent placement points, ending up with 12 down.
Yeah, 12 is going to be good for Blacklist International, that's for sure. But now the teams who are struggling, I mean, I said about Vex, they didn't need to do much today.
I mean, getting to that point in ranked on Rocket League where it's like,
point, and they were down in 18th prior.
skill gap starts changing quite a bit from
have the opportunity to leap
rank to rank
and push them out of the top 20. So Vex are going to need
like the gap so much in plat's kind of crazy. Then you jump up a diamond, and all of a sudden you have
regional finals.
The big difference between your new diamonds and
team from that previous game. You can see them alongside each other. Players.
I've been having fun learning though. I've been having fun learning.
Understand on all fronts here. First place in the placements, more placement points coming from the back of that, and then the 10 kills and 13 assists, obviously contributing to those kills.
A game that definitely doesn't get enough credit for
as well. Almost
like the skill gap in it for sure.
It's not almost double. It's about a third. But it's
the mechanics.
About 1,000 more, basically. Serious results, Dan. Help me with the maths.
Well, Gaming Gladiators at the top now, ahead of Alliance, but both of those two teams, Gaming Gladiators and Alliance, will be going to playoffs. That will be guaranteed. It's the chasing pack that we're going to be focusing on, the likes of players who now probably push themselves into a top 20 position, because as it stands, they are in 4th.
No, you're good. Honestly, just Rocket League mostly.
Points, which would send them
just because I don't really play like a bunch of games.
Further into the top 15.
I kind of get it in where I can fit it in.
ExoClan, a slightly different story for them. They're trying to put themselves in a spot when it is in regional finals. They will already be in the top 8.
Her car shit the bed. Well,
as well. Bro. So really good for those two
car
teams.
Car problems always suck, man.
Well, I mentioned it was crunch time, Dan. Well, it is now officially big crunch time. That is not going to go on a t-shirt, and it's certainly not going to sell well. But we have one more game to go, everybody. When we get back, don't go anywhere.
Just not starting up, or what? What was going on with it? Did it just stop working? Was it, or was it giving you guys issues starting for a while, or what? Would you check the coolant? Is it like running low? Steaming? All right, I gotta get these ships away from me. Stand by, John.
Favorite new term, the big crunch, is about to go down. It's the final game of the day, everybody. World's Edge is where it's going to take place, and Dan's been having a lot of fun today tracking all of the placements, which teams have been kind of shuffling around, who's going to be in those regional qualification spots, or regional finals qualification spots. Well, we're going to find out when this next game is done and dusted as we take a quick look back at how this last game ended.
Yeah, our top 16 teams are already secured for regional finals, and we still have to find 4 more. But looking back at this game, what could have been?
Bro, those things are so good, dude.
Get back up to
My
a 4-3
goodness.
on the south side, but eventually got shafted really by all of the grenades that came through, by every fuse in the lobby. But then the Gaming Gladiators did sadly lose one as they took on the full English, which meant that they were a little bit underwhelming on their push through to the final circle. They didn't have the full capacity that they would have required.
Chat,
With the
I think pre-show today,
quite early on, used those smokes, used those crates as cover, and they were able
for
to just
EMEA started at like 10 to the hour.
Pretty much weak from
for
everything
EMEA?
else that had happened. A stacks lobby, a stacks finish is always going to be an interesting one and a very fun one to watch indeed.
And a perfectly timed win from players as well. You mentioned how that pushed them into the regional finals qualification spots. Well, they're leaving it late, but at least they're getting.
So I am going to.
Number 6 is where we find ourselves, though. As
pretty well, as soon as we have a score.
Regular season match day. That is
qualifiers.
Quite something to say, Dan. Before the regional finals, of
we're gonna get off for a little bit, so I can take a break from the lights.
It's where we started actually off, wasn't it? We started on World's Edge.
And I'll pop back live again on both the Twitch and
and
the
this
Tube.
is where we're ending it. Kind of poetic.
At the moment, Cybercats are the team in 16th place on 52 points. They are, or should be, good for LAN, but outside of that, everyone else still has something to play for. ETH, who are in 17th, they're on 51 points. They are the vulnerable team who are not playing today, but can be caught by the likes of Vex, the likes of players, the likes of ANC outplayed, for example. All three of those teams are chasing. Then you've got those who have to
You know,
do a
Moon
little bit
and
more.
Ducky
The
and
full English,
Oogie and them been
Max,
getting into
Rats.
some
A victory in this
Overwatch.
last game could send them into the
You get on
regional
your ult
finals, where
sometime
you
around with
still
them.
would have a chance.
I've been
to get
playing
to
some
land.
here and there. It's just
Albeit unlikely if you're down
it
in
is a
20th
very
position,
much
but remember,
a
whoever
small
wins regional
dosages game
finals
for me when
gets
I'm
a
feeling
spot
it.
at Split 2 playoffs.
It gives you a chance, and that's all you can ask for sometimes when you haven't had the greatest of splits. If you get an opportunity, if you get a chance, then who knows what can happen, especially in match point finals. Anyway, we're into our final game of the day, and something to keep your eyes on as well if you're a fan of what's happening at the top of the leaderboards as well. Is GG and Alliance are so close to each other in first and second place.
Hopefully I'll get that stuff
respectively.
figured
So,
out, man.
again,
Car
stories at
issues
both
always
ends of the
suck, man.
tables at the moment, and players
Mostly because they
winners
never
of
happen at a
game
time
number
where like you can
5, they're gonna be
afford to
feeling
really
pretty
deal
good
with
about
them.
what they just got done.
Yeah, so they're in 4th at the moment overall, and if they do stay there, it should be enough to secure them a spot at regional finals. The only thing that could happen here is if they go out early, and then we start to see some of the other teams around them just pip them and send them further down that leaderboard. But if they can finish top 5, they'll be delighted. Regional finals will be all but guaranteed, and then they can start thinking about having that what-if moment of, do we get to land? Now, what's further than that is they're in 4th right now. If they push themselves up into that top 3,
So looking
they
more
can maybe start to
Overlook,
think
probably
about, all right,
ending
we are
more
getting
no
closer to
name.
the top 8 spots at that point, and regional finals, it doesn't have
Another
to be a
good
win. Maybe
circle
we
for
can just get
Game and
ourselves up there
Gladiators.
to be in those top 8. So that's still a consideration.
Alliance
still a
kind of had some
possibility for some of these
unfortunate
squads who are fighting for
zones
points.
for getting
Zone
their
is
spot
an
of thermal
Overlook zone. I'm pretty
for World's
confident
Edge.
in that, I would say. It looks like all of the back of Overlook is
With
in
the
at the
draft?
moment. However, we have seen those funky shifts that have happened, so it could go a little bit wonky a little bit later in the day, but it looks like Nine Lives are trying to play down those tracks for now, and they did have the ring console themselves, so they'll have some really, really good info to play off of the back of, and it looks like they're going to be playing Overlook.
Yo,
for
Ninjas in
now, so-
Pajamas fucking hustling,
Eric
dog.
elsewhere, just looking at who is close and who's going to have a good prio to this. You can see guys there, they
Every
have
day
ring
I'm
console.
shuffling,
NIP, they didn't have. They have Survey Beacon, but they're already on their way towards Zone as well. Fragment Monument had a ring console as well. So a couple of the POIs which are closest to where this zone is going to be ending do have that information. Elsewhere, Blacklist International.
Figgy, do you still play Apex at all?
And we might see a few of these down as teams get a little bit desperate for points.
I remember it used to be one of your favorite games
Blacklist
back in the day.
International, who already have a spot at regional finals, but would like to be able to push themselves a little bit further up the leaderboards to try and be
I need to get some
in
games with an
consideration
M
for
my
those
boy
playoffs.
Figgy on
And
something.
As I've said, for a lot of these other teams, a win could change everything for them. They're in 10th position at the moment, but a victory could send them right up into that top 5, which would be some much needed points prior to the regional finals. I think NOP might have had both a Survey Beacon and Ring Console, by the way. Just it looks like it's a weird icon that they might have been on top of each other.
I need to full screen my map thing. That's
Even full screening is still tough, but
no idea.
the fact that they're making that journey would lead me to believe that it's probably going to be a Ring Console they had. But this is great news for Nine Lives, who are dropping at Overlook, and they find themselves at the moment in 23rd position in the overalls, outside of those regional final spots. Again, if they can win this game from Overlook,
Yeah, where are
there's
they
always
sitting
gonna
on
be
the
that
day,
opportunity
though?
that they might be able to push
They're
themselves
sitting on
within that top
14
20.
for the
So
day, though.
the teams we're going to be watching, Players, Vex, ANC Outplayed, and Nine Lives, and then even 3D Max and the Full English Rats, they all still have the chance to get to regional finals.
The players, you can see that they have the ring console information. They're going to have good information on where that zone is going to be going. NIP at the other side of this vault tunnel, and actually going to be playing up on the upper side of it. And the looks of things might have actually continued their rotate through the other side. So no surprise there's going to be somebody watching that exit, which is going to be Stay Healthy, who is positioned inside of Overlook at the moment. As we take our eyes away from Overlook and to some of the teams who are going to have to rotate their way through from a little bit further away. One of them is going to be ANC Outplayed. Now, they've got to be very careful here because Rats are also inside a Harvester. Alliance are walking up behind them as well. So it might be a case of just taking our time here, hitting the Survey Beacon to get a little bit of information.
Well, I'm guessing Ninjas in Pajamas must have gotten eliminated here soon.
So
I've seen
ANC
Husky's
position at the
retweeted.
moment would guarantee them 12
Oh, it's
points,
tough.
which would put them on 51. Now, our magic number was 52, but that doesn't mean you have to get to 52. 52 just puts you at the guaranteed mark. You could still qualify on 51 in theory, but that does mean that they find themselves in a good position, Outplayed, but that's bad news for the likes of Vexed. Stay Healthy, for example, another team that is in contention, but also could be pushed out of the top 20.
Nine Lives, who were the Overlook drop, like we mentioned, trying to control the building right at the back at the moment. GG in a great spot again, by the way. Really, really doing well to find themselves into good
I mean, they didn't have far to rotate, to be fair, right? Like this is kind of one of their, like, this is their zone. They're in first place already. Like,
seen some finishes on the position they have to actually find themselves right now. You can control this height, and you can control all of the teams who are walking up on you.
Like, to be fair, they should.
It's not just the height for the
this
end game.
This zone in Game 6 pretty well solidifies a Game of Gladiators finishes first in the series.
They have to rotate through from that eastern side.
Should be, anyways.
So really, really good spot for them, and you would imagine that they could be in a position to maybe take away first spot if they can hold that spot for the rest of this game.
So ExoClan, 3D Max, 73 Esports, you can see on your screen, they all have to move from that western side through Epicenter and then through that horrible piece of ground where you have to kind of go from the low ground to the upper side, where you can be kind of griefed by Gaming Gladiators, if not completely challenged by Gaming Gladiators. So you might want to take a different journey if you do find yourselves there. But ExoClan might actually be running into one of those teams that I just spoke of. It looks like they might be chasing them. They can certainly smell something, is it right? And yes, they now notice that there is a team
know that they're down low.
I think they got one knock. I might be mistaken on that. Or maybe they split the team a little bit themselves. And I think it's 3D Max who are on the other side of this. So they got to be a little bit careful, because 73 Esports are also walking up on their position, as you can see. And yes, indeed, it's actually Kizaron. I think it might be a solo now alive for them, who's just trying to play down that low ground and not give any indication of where he is. We move over towards Cypher now. You can see the players. Big game for them. They had a monster game in their last one, which has given them the opportunity to qualify for those regional finals. But another solid game for them here. And they essentially have their own fate in their hands. So players now trying to move.
Where do
away
players
from
sit
this
on
fight. I think
the?
it's a smart thing to do, right? You don't want to be taking that fight, especially with the team who just
They were in 20.
has an advantageous
Oh,
position over you.
Yeah, as long as players don't go out dead last here.
Yeah,
they should
players are fine,
comfortably
dog.
finding themselves into regional finals.
Oh no.
I don't even know if players can play themselves out of regional finals at this
Because
point.
Pathfinders are quick enough.
Their
they can
placement
catch
doesn't really
up. You
fucking
just have
matter,
to
because it would be
leave
like
them
bottom
behind.
5
They'll
at
make their own
regionals.
journey.
but-
They're good enough. They can
Sacrifice yourself for the good of Pathfinder. That's what I always say.
They can zip line. They get quick. But I do think that players have had a fantastic day, and a day when they needed to as well, because they were just outside of that top 20. And even though it looks like they should be good, there's always that what if. So this final game, they still have to stay focused. But a team that also needs to stay focused is Vex. At the moment, they're 18th in the overall standings, but they are last place in today's matches. They need to get into the final circle if they want any chance of going to regional finals.
It's the best kill in all of Apex Legends, is clipping someone out of the sky. I don't care what anyone else says. That's exactly what Clemmy managed to do there onto the final member of ExoClan who was taking that evac. Unfortunately, it's going to be Slayer who was that final player. And now you got to wonder what ExoClan are going to do. And they're in a little bit of a precarious spot in the overalls as well themselves. Vex trying to fight their way forward at the moment. You can see there's a lot of teams trying to control this height of Epicenter.
And Epicenter is not fun to hold when there's so many teams above you if you're trying to survive on this low ground. And Vex have lost one. And this could be terrible news for Vex, who find themselves
they're
in
in
last
trouble.
position at the moment.
EXO out
Need just a few
early.
points
What?
here today in the overalls, but if they were to fall last, that might be their regional final chances gone.
ExoClan have been eliminated. Oh, Babylon's spray wasn't good enough, and now it's all up to Clemmy. He got the knock from the sky. Can he secure?
EXO out
can he secure
19th,
placements?
probably
He gets the shield
0
swap,
points.
But he's just blind firing and hoping that maybe he can survive. Can he get another shield swap? But it's not enough.
They're going to
And
put some
Vex
pressure on themselves in the
will
regional
fall.
finals if they're going to want to qualify. They should at least be able to close the
That could
gap
be
on
Vex's
8.
chances of regional finals disappearing right in front of their very eyes. They were in 18th position, arguably.
But
could
even
finish
so,
in last
they're still
position,
making like
which would
the
only
risk
give
of
them
even like a
1
team like
point,
NIP
put
coming
them
in,
on
winning
50
the
points in
regional finals.
overalls. And there are teams that are chasing them that should
Getting
be able to
themselves
overtake them at
that
50 as well.
spot
So it's
and
gonna
calling it
be
a
a
day,
very
you know what I
nervy
mean?
ending for Vex. And the teams like
Chat, Twitch is going to be trying to start an ad break here in a minute. Well, 45 seconds from now. I'm going to go ahead and let that run, because when that one runs, that stream will be ad-free for the rest of game number 6 here.
First place away from GG at the moment in this final game.
GG's.
You can
Love
see
you
the
guys.
ping coming in on the Kraber as well. I wonder if Alliance are going to try and play for that, as they force their way in towards zone. Elsewhere, Overlook is where we find our next piece of action taking place. Stay healthy up on the silos, trying to hold out a team who's moving through that choke. It's going to be FA Kids on the other side of this.
So stay healthy. 7th position at the moment. 32 points. I said about them leapfrogging Vex. They certainly will do so if they can stay within this top 10. And I would say a top 5 finish would guarantee them regional finals, but they've just lost one.
Zidane just absolutely sent it on the Bloodhound.
Bro, he's just chilling up here and cannot push down to help his homie. Has no choice. Oh, shit. Well, he just got mobbed on. That's kind of unfortunate.
And Janty is now left as the last alive on the pathfinder.
Oh, he just be grappling.
The grapple that you want in that situation, and stay healthy.
Tough, bro.
Not healthy anymore. They will fall as FA Kids, off the back of that opener created by Zidane, will take control of the back silos.
But if Stay Healthy can stay within the top 10,
they'll be fine. Yeah, they were in
19th
19th going into today, so they should be all right.
Already to get into regional finals, as they were only 6 points from that 52-point estimate. NIP, however, their story was very different here today. It was about trying to put points on the board before regional finals, and they have not been able to do that. Very similar to yesterday, they looked like they struggled. As now Amphi's gone down.
150 on one. Ooh.
Amphi's going to go down. Can they get the exchange of knocks?
Need the stairs.
Trying desperately to do that, and it looks like Zane may have turned this into a 2v2. So a 2v2 scenario is one that's a lot better sounding than a 3v2. Knockdowns to try and play around, though. You can see they're a little bit split at the moment on their decision-making. Naski's going to go down as well. Zane's going to go huge. Zane has to be a hero here for NIP.
This is where they die.
Trying to play around the knockdown. Does have the L-Star, so doesn't have to reload, but he's not quite connected in the way he would have wanted to right now. Zane, dead. NIP eliminated.
And not the day that NIP would have wanted nor desired, but a team
Damn, man.
who did need a big
I was really hoping the boy Nasky was going to be able to pop off and be in a good spot going into regionals.
They were in 22nd position.
I still won't count him out for winning regionals, though, and still clinching that last EMEA spot,
and they forced themselves into
which would suck for a team like Exo Clan, who might be in a good position
still a chance of regional finals
to be in that 8 spot.
Otherwise, after a very roller coaster season, finishing first on their first day, but then last, second to last, third from last, but now a chance to push themselves once more into the top 20.
Incredible performance from them. They've left it late, but at least you can get the job done. It's in their hands. Alliance will be thinking the same thing, but a slightly different story. Can we go into regional finals with first spot? Can we take away first spot today in the lobby from GG? At the moment, they're just controlling this high ground. A couple of evacs are going down as well. You can see the Hackett's maybe trying to line up some shots on this final player. It's good damage. It's great damage. It's phenomenal damage, but it's not quite enough to get that knock. Instead, he's going to turn his attention to another Kraber that's fallen from the sky.
Whoever wins out of Alliance and GG here, likelihood is goes into regional finals in first place. I think even if Alliance finished second in the overalls against GG, they would still take first. So it's looking more likely that it would be Alliance that go into regional finals as the #1 team. It's Passion UA. They're currently in 7th. They have that Kraber that you were talking about, and they are absolutely blitzing whoever's inside.
ANC Outplayed been eliminated. So that changes things once again here. Passion UA, they trying to push on this truck. Strafey maybe looking for a no-scope, maybe looking for something magic with that Kraber. Instead, he's going to hit the hip fire. Danish eliminated.
Ooh, see, now that's tough for Danish. Is they're in, what, 13? God, bro, they would have really liked to have gotten some more points.
And Artico and Matt Strafey now trying to
Passion UA is probably about to go down to Alliance here, surely, right?
And this is never going to be a scenario you want to find yourself in a 2 versus 3 against Alliance in the form that they find themselves in today. This should be a comfortable cleanup. Even though it can be annoying to push into these little RVs, Alliance will be well versed in doing so. And it's just a matter of biding your time, pushing together. The death will happen, and Alliance will clean up Passion UA. But Passion UA, a good amount of points today to try and separate themselves from the top 8. As 3D Max also go down, and that might be 3D Max's chances of getting to regional finals out.
Well, I think for
we'll have to see
Passion
when those final
UA,
standings come through, but not finishing in the top 10 could really hurt them there.
Hackett's got to be a little bit careful here as he's finding himself taking a few different angles.
Yeah, I mean, they'll separate themselves from like 8 and on.
But he does manage to get back to full health. So Alliance, 10 squads remaining now in the lobby, 3 KP to their name, and Hackett has found the big
Exo might actually do enough to take over Danish. If not, that 8-9 spot's going to be like super tight going into regionals.
Fantastic day today, not just with how he's called and how he's IGL'd, but the positions he's put himself in as the Pathfinder, constantly taking angles, constantly pinching teams to make it very difficult for them to either rotate or even play the final circle. And Alliance and GG both looking to go out with a bang here. Remember, there is still a potential bonus point for GG available if they're able to find a 3rd victory in this last match, which could prove to be pretty vital when it goes into the overall standings and their chances of being toward the top. But it looks like they should be guaranteed playoffs, so they are guaranteed playoffs at this point anyway. As for Alliance, it's not necessarily going to be the chances of being able to get there, but they certainly will want to be on top as these series standings come to a close.
Well, Lions are going to trade the zip line. Oh my God!
Well, hi.
Player not looking at Hackis, and Hackis doesn't make a
What's up,
mistake.
bro?
He hits the 140. Alliance off the back of the zip line from the Pathfinder will make the opening happen themselves. However, Zone is now...
Yeah, the same. Zone just absolutely dumpstered them.
Also taking damage. Alliance go into first place with those kills and with those placement points they pick up, but that will be the end of their final
Game of Gladiators probably still finished first because they had themselves a good spot.
Down, GG will have the chance to leapfrog them and be top of the series standings here today. But I think Alliance have already done enough to be at the top of the overall standings when we look at going into regional finals. But Game Gladiators still alive on this northern side. It's the northwest they currently hold, and they've just made life so difficult for any of those teams trying to approach from the west.
Skynet going to do a little bit of damage here. GG going to have to work their way from the quick side of Zone, though. You can see 40 seconds until it starts to close. It's about finding your opportunity, finding your third party, finding the space that you can take. Forbidden have been eliminated. That CQ might be really big. That might be the charge, or the signal to charge, I should say.
So if Game of Gladiators win this team fight, that should secure them first place in the series, I believe. If they win this fight.
And now Lufka and Light have found themselves in a little bit of, I would say, uncomfortable position from what they imagined it would be.
Uncomfortable for some normies, but maybe for the Gaming Gladiators, they can still pull something out here as long as they're still alive. DMS go down, and Gaming Gladiators are still.
Can they only get one up? They can only get one up, surely,
at their
right?
very best. When their back is against the wall, they still find a way to get through it. And now GG into
can
the
they get up
and still hold this northwest side. But when we go to the final circle, Full English, FA Kids, 9 Lives, and Blacklist International all are healthily inside this final circle.
GG trying to work an angle here, work an opportunity. They know there's a player up in that tower. That's why you're seeing the smokes and you're seeing the Qs go in from the fuse. Lufka gets so much.
Bro, no one's even looking at Lufka. What the actual F?
And we'll do exactly
Damn.
that. GG are running through this lobby in this endgame.
This is a real chance, though, for teams like 9 Lives, for Full English, who are still alive and are still desperately searching for a regional finals position. A win could be massive for their chances. Gaming Gladiators down to just Blast now. And is their game going to come to an end here? But they have taken first position and will be our series winners.
Took out players first, though.
They're down in fourth, but it does mean 9 Lives are into the top 3, as are Full English. Is there a last chance push to try and get into regional finals for one of these teams?
Well, here we go then. Reset will come in on the northern side of the zone for 9 Lives. Full English inside of the building. On top of them is FA Kids. It's a 3v3v3 in our endgame here. FA Kids, though, with the height, will be able to do a lot
I
of
don't
damage.
think 9 Lives is going to be able to get in unless they win this.
Full English inside of the building. Almost guaranteed second, you would imagine, from this position. But will they make a play to win this game? Do they think they have to win this game?
They have to. Even then, I don't know if it's enough.
They do have to win this game. Just looking at it, I mean, they might not know necessarily how many points they're going to be needing, but they're in 14th position at the moment on 26. They need to be pushing themselves into the top
6,
5, really, if they want to have any chance of regional finals. But sadly, they've got the Full English who need to do exactly the same. They're in 9th position, but they need to go a little bit further if they want to get into the regional finals. This is going to be nail-biting moments for teams like Eternal, who aren't playing today, but were in one of those top 20 spots. Vex, who were in a top 20 spot but got eliminated earlier. This is going to be tough. This is going to be so close when we look at those overall standings.
FA Kids get that crack onto the shield. You're seeing the fuse Qs go in as well. And that is just
Fun and interactive gameplay, baby. Just shoot that shit.
Going to take kind of up to red Evo as well. So FA Kids with the high ground with all red Evos as well, dressed to impress in this endgame. But Full English,
I mean, woo! Fuse, baby.
with a chance.
New characters in the meta. Let's go.
But the play calls from them right now inside of this building could not have more pressure on them.
The Full English with a chance to maybe have a Hail Mary here to get to regional finals. 9 Lives are making their move, though, to try and get into some sort of position to stay alive, and they have found a zone to play with here. There's a lot of fire and damage they're taking, though, and the FA Kids are rising, and
they are so screwed.
But does this open an opportunity here for FA
9
Kids?
Lives have been fucked since Jump Street, chat. It's over for them.
Quickly enough that they can deal with Full English as they leave the building. It looks like they've got a couple of downs now. There's only one to deal with. What do Full English do from here, though? Zidane is the player to watch. He is the one up on height who will be watching the exit of Full English. A little off angle being taken here by Jay Savage as well. Last player is going to be in behind that knockdown, and now the Full English need to send it. They will be eliminated, and FA Kids will claim the final champion banner of the
Yeah,
day.
because I don't think that's it. The second place is going to give 9 lives enough points.
Season.
I think they needed to win and pick up quite a bit of that KP still.
I kind of want to skip to the final standings because that was quite some endgame.
A very exciting endgame and maybe a last chance for Full English to try and get a victory to see if they could get enough.
We're gonna wait for
points
standings,
to
chat.
reach regional
Like I wanna
finals.
see.
I don't think they've quite done enough, especially with the likes of Stay Healthy players. ANC outplayed, all outperforming them today and putting some real big points on the board. But for Vex, who were in 18th position, may have dropped out of regional finals spot. You've got Eternal, who were in 17th position, not playing today, may have dropped out of a regional finals spot.
Like Eternal
always going to be the case going into today's games that if you haven't put enough points on the board and you're just watching those other teams competing today, you're going to be biting your nails hoping that they didn't succeed. Sadly for them, they did. We had 3 teams outside of the top 20 all have amazing match weeks today.
Yeah, it was an impressive day. We'll bring Rain Day back in as well to talk about it as we wait for those final results to come in. But Evan, I mean, when you're hoping for something, you know, and you're in one of those end games and you're in the final game of a day, it's like you just want to be the team who is saying yes, and like having the relief kind of flow over you in those final moments, knowing that you've done enough.
The reverse side is it's pain, and it's a pain that is difficult. Anyone who's played competitively as well, I mean, I'm sure we all go back in moments where you just don't get it back for maybe months now, especially if you were just a few placement points away, or maybe you underperformed just your own expectations as a team, as a trio, as an organization. There's always just a lot to look at and to reassess. And in our esport world as well, sometimes, you know, then starts the conversation of roster changes. But the teams that do it, the teams that
it's already
get that
updated over on
goes their way. Well, it's special. It's one of those things you compete for
the
to have that special moment. And I think ultimately we make
thing, man. So we're gonna look at it real quick. Let's look at standings for the day. Exo Clan finishing in 6th, Passion UA in 7th. Yeah, that didn't really do much for 9 lives. Man, Nip down in 18th. That is wild to me, bro. So we'll look at overall standings. Remember, top 20 secure their spot for regional finals, and Eternal do indeed make the cutoff by 1 point. Vex on the day. Where are they at? Down in 19th. Oh, my goodness. 1 more point gives them a better placement than makes it so they don't have to go for a tiebreaker to Nip. They get 1 point, then I don't know what the tiebreaker is between them and Eternal, but man, that is close as close can get. Unfortunate puppies, Chad. Unfortunate puppies. But yeah, so we are going to. I'm gonna jump off here. We'll be back here in about an hour and a half-ish to start NA. But I'm going to take a break from the lights, get out of my room for a bit, go do some stuff around the house. We're going to go hang out with the homie Llama. I'm not sure what game he's playing, but if y'all follow your boy as far as shoutcast, you know I do quite a bit of shoutcasting with the homie Llama. That's my duo. We cast quite a bit, but especially on the bubble scene as far as for Rocket League. So I'm gonna get up on out of here, man. I'll get to catch y'all later for NA. We appreciate y'all for hanging out. Till we catch y'all back here for the next one, man. Don't forget, with everything crazy going on in the world today, be true, be you, be sincere. Game hard and love hard. All right, y'all. We'll catch y'all later for NA. Otherwise, jump in the Discord. We got some more stuff heading y'all's this way over on YouTube later this week. All right, peace. I'm out here.